Here we are. We finally are live again with our Sunday Sherman Snitzel show. We've got a lot to kind of break down today. Obviously, we're going to talk about Mike Gundy, the news out of fall and spring camp today. It's all kind of coming together. So we're going to take some time to break it down real quick with our buddies. We got everybody back today. I'm excited about it. All right, y'all. Let's get it rolling.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you all kindly for stopping by to make this your listen and your watch today. Appreciate everybody jumping on this. You know the drill. It's Sunday. We got to bring the fellas in. Jason Sherman, finally, he's back from his hiatus. How we feeling, my guy?
I'm fantastic. How are you? Hey, I was in the last live show. I just wasn't live.
You were getting your type on. Okay, I'll give you that. But you know what? Who we did have in the fire last weekend with one of the top 5 greatest hats I've ever seen. Trent, you sip that Coca-Cola, buddy. How we feeling, boss?
Good, man. How are you guys?
I'm pretty good. I see Jason's got his O State shirt on. He's got his Denver Broncos hat on. He is ready to rock and roll for the season. You look like you're about to go do some lessons, Trent. So congratulations on this.
Nah, man, I'm just because our boy Victor Hovland got the W today. Big W for Victor. He's been on a roll this year in the PGA. Man, he's climbing the ranks. I believe he's top 10 right now. So
and you know, dude, Ricky's having a pretty good year. It's nice to see him bounce back. Well,
yeah.
and Matt Wolf, right? He's making some stuff. Alex Noren's doing phenomenal.
What's his face over in the LIV? That's from Tulsa. What's his name? Taylor Gooch. He's killing it in the LIV.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, Oklahoma State golf. I mean, we can get into that here a little bit later on. I mean, it's worth a topic of conversation. When you have 11 national titles in any sport, it is worth conversation. But fellas, let's kind of break down in y'all's opinions. What are some of the biggest surprises thus far for you guys out of both spring and fall camp? And Jason, we'll start with you so you don't fall asleep on me, you beautiful bearded son of a biscuit eating champion.
I guess the biggest surprise so far is that the quarterback competition is actually close. I figured Bowman was brought in to be the man, and I guess that could be a good thing. You obviously want Garrett Rangel or whoever that second guy is going to be to have some confidence about himself, and the coaching staff have some confidence in him if he needs to go into a game.
Right.
But I still do think at the end of the day, when the season starts and the ones trot out there, it'll be Bowman's job to give up, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think it is. And, you know, the irony of the entire situation is I would be willing to bet a decent amount of money that Mike Gundy was hoping, right, it would be fairly simplistic. He was hoping Bowman would come in and take all of his years of experience, especially with his understanding of under center, right, and power I style of football from Michigan, and teach Garrett Rangel, teach Gunnar Gundy, teach Zane Flores how to be a professional. Because as much as we love to watch Spencer run around, and I'm a big defender of Spencer, advocate, so on and so forth, it is clear that there were times that he didn't really dive too far into the playbook and take it super serious. Alan Bowman does. And I think that's becoming infectious for everybody else. But yeah, no, I don't think Gundy anticipated it being much of a battle. So yeah, I think it's a testament to what Garrett Rangel was able to do in the offseason. If you dedicate your body to something, you know, the proof will be in the pudding, as they say, but you know, he's done precisely what was asked of him to put himself in this position. So yeah, man, you know, I kind of agree. I mean, you guys know I've been a big proponent of Garrett Rangel for a long time. I've just been in love with the films. But yeah, man, him pushing Alan Bowman after seeing some of the things Alan Bowman can do with the football, it gives me a lot of security coming into the season. All right, Trent. So Jason beat you to the punch on the quarterback competition. So other than that, Or even if it is that, what do you think is the most surprising thing to come out of spring and fall thus far?
Well, I agree with Jason. That's what I was going to say, and I'll add one thing to that, and then I got something else. But I think do we think that Gundy knows Alan Bowman is the quarterback? He's just not letting anybody know, kind of like with and I know you mentioned this before, and all three of us might have talked about it before, but not wanting any of the quarterbacks to jump ship and the transfer portal. So he's just, letting them all putting it out there like, oh, it's close. Like they're all playing really good right now. But in his mind, he already knows that Bowman is the starter, just like we all know Bowman is the starter.
No, I don't think that at all. I really don't. Now, Alan Bowman has gotten significantly better as far as, turnovers this fall. But that's the thing is the defense the other day, right? Well, okay, so last week they produced, the defense by themselves produced at least 11 turnovers. Now, does that mean that the defense is that phenomenal and they're flying around with their hairs on fire? Or does it mean that we still have some mismanagement kind of snafus, if you will, offensively? I would like to lean to the former. I don't necessarily believe in the latter because, yeah, man, I think it would have been easy on Gundy to make a decision, to have it be, Alan Bowman, and to have everybody get on the same page. But when you've got somebody that does really phenomenal stuff, right, and then somebody right behind them that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, it makes the competition legit. What do you got, Jason?
I think Trent is right. I think Gundy does know that Bowman will be the starter. I don't know that it's so much that Rangel so he doesn't transfer. I just think he's trying to instill some confidence in the kid. And as far as the defense creating turnovers, I think a lot of that has to do with it's re-energized, right? We all know that we're really deep at safety. Brian Nardo seems like he's a player's kind of coach. He's probably got these guys energized. But a lot of stuff in practice is situational too, right? Sometimes they're going to put the defense in the best position to succeed because they want to see some success on that side of the ball too, to breed that confidence going forward too. So I don't put as much stock in, we had 11 turnovers, whatever. Where did those 11 turnovers come from? What situations were we in? You know what I mean?
That's I was going to say that too. And before I move on to past the quarterbacks, what else surprised me? We got David down here is making a bold statement right here, saying he's thinking Gunner is going to be the man by the end of the year. That's
I do have a question for both of y'all gentlemen. I don't mean to extend the topic at hand unnecessarily, but what gives y'all the opinion and or indication that you think it's definitely Bowman and Gundy already knows that?
Just experience.
I'm sorry?
Just experience. I mean, I know that Rangel got to play quite a bit last year, but he got to play quite a bit last year on a real shitty team. And I know Tech wasn't a monster eater, but Bowman's got some really good stuff on film. Let me finish. He's got a electric arm, and the guy legit has next level talent with his arm. I think that he can make a lot of throws that Garrett Rangel can't make at this point in time in his career. So that's why I think that he's the guy right now. For what we're going to do.
But
why do you think Gundy thinks that he's for sure the guy?
I honestly think Bowman wouldn't have come into Oklahoma State if he knew he was going to be riding the bench. I'm not saying that right then and there he was going to be a starter, but I will say I think Gundy laid it out. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten another quarterback if Gundy knew that Rangel was the man.
I mean, I think that you're right, but we just lost a guy that's going to go down and probably sit on the bench for a good portion of the season this year, and he left here. So that does happen from time to time. I'm not saying
it does. Don't get me wrong. And, I've talked to Cody about this. On the phone, it's like, it really sucks because I think this team – and I'm not saying this team isn't special because I'm sure they will be any year that we go into where Oklahoma State doesn't have any hype at all. They always end up overperforming, and they surprise us all. I will say I would feel much better this year knowing if Spencer Sanders was coming back. I'd be like, okay, I think we could really do some damage this year. I'd probably have expectations for Oklahoma State this year, but right now, I don't. And I think for me, that's the best. It's better for me to not have expectations going into a season because if and when we do lose, I'm not sitting there super upset about it.
Well, two things. Jared, if this is your take, buddy, you might as well get into the portal because Guys, I
Right.
will bet my daggone house on it proudly. Garrett Rangel is significantly better than anybody's given him credit for. Garrett Rangel has earned snaps this season, meaningful snaps, not just fourth quarter up by 50 style of snaps. He's going to get afforded some opportunities. And, guys, Gunnar Gundy's going to have packages. Gunnar Gundy has improved very, very, very well. And I see the discontent on both your faces, and that's fine. It's going to have to be a moment where it's proven, and I'm okay with that. And then as far as Creek goes, what up, Creek? Creek's definitely one of our guys and our regulars. Yeah, I understand the skepticism to some degree. And you do say that, Gundy has a propensity to drag this thing on and on and on. That is true. Yes. But the videos, the clips, the highlights, and the people that are standing on the ground, on the turf, on Boone Pickens Stadium, on Sherman E. Smith Center, those people are saying that this offseason has been light years away from the last few.
But what's the old adage, Cody? What's the old adage? If you have
age-old adage, what's that?
If you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And in this case,
dude, I did a show about that. If
you have three quarterbacks, you're screwed. If you're trying to run three quarterbacks, that's terrible. That's terrible.
I disagree.
Name one successful program that's run three quarterbacks in any meaningful snaps in a season. Tell me one program.
Princeton did it. Okay. That's exactly why we hired Sean Gleason. They had three quarterbacks that also played running back and threw the football. And
I got that Jared comment. That was funny. I don't know if you guys saw that. No, the one before that. He said if Gunnar play as the starting quarterback at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Hey, is your internet slow up there in Iowa, dude? That was like 5 minutes ago.
It was, but I wasn't going to interrupt you guys and be like, hey, stop talking. I just thought that was funny. That was good.
Yeah, I put it up on the little board thing, or Rangel could do things last year that Sanders couldn't do. So, 100%.
No,
100%. Yeah, go ahead, Trent.
No, you go ahead. You're good.
I actually side with Gundy on this one, right? I do know sometimes Gundy throws a lot of feathers and fluff up at us. But Garrett Rangel had an average of less than 3 seconds to get rid of the ball. Like, that sucks for anybody.
Yeah, our O-line didn't really help him out, and that's why, I'll give – and I know, Cody, that's why you've been giving him the benefit of the doubt this offseason, and you've always – I don't think I've ever heard you say one bad thing about Garrett Rangel, but I will say our O-line is terrible last year because they're all beat up, and, for all the people that gave Gunnar crap about, coming to that K-State game, he's sitting there. I don't blame him, dude. He was playing against a monster D-line, and he knew he was about to get eaten for lunch. Like, our O-line couldn't block worth a dang last year.
Bro, if my dad puts me down 42 when we're in a game, 42-0 at an away field, I might punch him in his throat. That was a terrible, terrible position for Gunnar to be.
But you know what? He came to Oklahoma State, and that's always been his dream to play for his dad, and there was his moment right there. Doesn't matter if you're down 100-0 or you're up 100-0. If you get your time to go in and shine, my friend, or do the best that you can with what you have out there. And I'm not saying he didn't. I mean, that game was just a shit show in general, dude. I stopped watching that game at halftime. I'm not even going to lie to you. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth my time.
Jason, what do you think about this this comment from Mr. David here?
That very well could be true, but I don't think either one of them are very good. So that doesn't mean really anything to me.
Yeah. And I'm trying to kind of open that box. Why? I for the life of me, bud, I can't understand why you don't think they're good, right? Again, Gunnar Gundy. I know you're aware that he was the number 2 guy on Gary Patterson's big board in recruiting.
Well, I mean, that's cool. That's cool, but he's proved last year, and I know he was put in some terrible situations. He's not a D1 quarterback, in my opinion. He is not what we want to try to run. Well, he is not. He's not. He couldn't even hold Spencer Sanders' jockstrap, in my opinion. We have guys coming into this program. The future is on campus, but he's a freshman. So all of this is really conjecture, in my opinion. And anybody can say whatever takes they want to. I mean, you can call yourself Hall of Fame or whatever you want to call yourself and have all the takes you want to, but that doesn't make them correct. Garrett Rangel, unless he drastically improved his throwing motion from last year, can't throw the football, dude.
Well, that was my biggest thing with Gunnar last year, dude, is I swear, like, I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but just how his ball would just float in the air when he threw it, I swear was up there for 20 seconds.
But not being a bad quarterback and being a good Big 12 quarterback and being successful at Oklahoma State is two totally different things.
Bro,
Well,
we've had a lot of not bad quarterbacks.
You watch a bunch of high school tape. Some of that just like from the high school to college, Division I, it just doesn't translate. Like I know Rangel was a very 4-star out of high school, one of the best quarterbacks in Texas coming out of his class. And I mean, it's the same. You can say there are plenty of great college athletes. It just doesn't translate to the pros. You know what I mean?
Jason, I love you like 13 fat kids having sexual relations on top of a cupcake. But if you can please tell me, my guy, dude, did you not say a couple weeks ago that Taylor Cornelius was better than Spencer Sanders? Did you not?
Yeah, and the dude's proved it. He's had a pretty good career in the Canadian League, dude.
Bro, I don't understand what evaluation you're
that's that Denver Broncos coming out. Buddy, there's no way Corndog was better than Sanders.
Not even.
What are you
talking
about? Just look at his throwing motion. Spencer Sanders will not have a third of the snaps to the next level, even if it's in the Canadian League than Cornelius has had.
I don't care.
I'll put $100
bill. I've said from the go that I don't think Spencer Sanders is a pro quarterback.
Okay.
But I think he's a great college quarterback. And if you're really going to sit here and say Taylor Cornelius at OSU in his college career was better than Spencer Sanders.
No. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said he's a better quarterback. That's not what I said at all. He's a better quarterback. And it's proven. I'll put $100 bill to anybody in the chat that Spencer Sanders in 5 years doesn't have a third of the snaps Cornelius had his first 5 years at Oklahoma State. I promise you, he won't.
Depends on where he goes, or if he does make it pro, it'll be at a different position. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet.
Perfect.
I'll take that bet. I will 100% take that.
Whether it's in the league, whether it's in Canadian football.
Yeah, no, hey, I know Corndog was good. I mean, I'm not. I think Corndog is one of the more underappreciated.
Corndog would be the starter and hands down this year if he was on the roster this year.
Hell no.
Hands down.
Hands down.
I think Corndog was good. My biggest thing with him was he would win the games he wasn't supposed to, but lose the ones he was supposed to win, and that was my.
Yeah.
You know. I appreciate Corndog. You know, he did it the right way. He sat on the bench for 40 years before he finally got his chance to shine. Kudos to him. He could have transferred out like a lot of these other soft-ass college athletes are doing nowadays, but he stuck around and he did his thing, and I appreciate him for that. And he gave us one good year. Mm-hmm. You know,
And I'm not trying to slander Spencer Sanders any stretch of the imagination. He won a lot of ball games for us.
Yeah, I don't understand the slander thing.
Yeah. I'm not trying to slander anybody.
I mean, but also was
I mean, I'm kind of curious why you give a shit, Jason.
Quarterback first team, like did he get named to the first team for Big 12 quarterback? Because I know Spencer did.
Who did? Corndog?
Okay, that's cool.
No.
So did Trevon Boykins. That's cool. So what?
I'm just saying, bro. Like, I understand you're passionate, you're fired up. You seem slightly irritated, which is fine. But I'm just trying to say I don't understand where you come up with these evaluations, like how you can say that these guys are not D1 quarterbacks or Corndog. I was just using it as an example.
I just told you, Garrett Rangel, unless he drastically changed his throwing motion, cannot throw the fucking football. He just can't do it.
Okay, but dude, that is so. How is you know what? Okay, you know what? I still love you like 13 fat kids having sexual relations on a football.
Hey, I don't get it. Topic, Andrew.
Yeah,
I will
you
say,
don't have to agree with me.
Hey,
you don't have
Andrew,
to agree
I will
with me.
say your bowman is going to be the truth, but our run game will be trash. Our run game better not be trash this year with how we're changing our whole offense.
Who said that? Where's that at?
Andrew Petty. Our O-line is experienced. They're all healthy. There is no reason that our
Hey, Andrew. So you just saw Jason and I make a bet live. Me or Trent. We will bet. I'll bet you right here, right now. I've got PayPal and all that fun jazz. That Oklahoma State University will do two things. One, for $100, we will rush for over 4.5 yards a carry on the season. And number two, we will have over 2,500 yards rushing between our running backs. That is a ridiculous statement. That is a statement that is an indication of how little you are aware of Oklahoma State University.
He may not be aware, but I mean, do you blame him for saying it? Our run game was absolutely terrible last year. I mean, and granted injuries, but I'm just saying your average Oklahoma State fan, there's probably a lot of them saying that. Like they don't get in depth like you do, Cody. So like you can't be mad at him for saying that. Like you know more than a lot of these fans do. So
I mean, kind of Lewis. Pepper Lewis says, Pepper, where's Robert? Robert Pierce has got to be in here. There he is. Pepper Lewis and Robert Fields or Robert Pierce are regulars. They're every minute, every day, and sometimes they say some wild, crazy stuff. And I like to have some fun with. All right, y'all. So let's shift gears here.
He is
and
aware,
we'll talk
Cody.
about
Andrew's aware. He's aware. So that's a good bet, Andrew. If you're about it, make that bet with Cody.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a $200 bet, $100 for East if you need. But real quick, we gotta get on to the second level. But briefly, I do have to let the fine people out here know that today we are brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is the place that you all need to be whenever you're considering what you're going to do for your small business. In today's society, it's a gamble, it's a crapshoot to get the right person at the right time for your job. So do yourself a favor and go to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege today so you can find your next candidate, or you can find the person that is most suited for whatever job you have. Go to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege today. Again, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege today. All right, y'all. Here we go. Let's jump into number 2 here, which is Brett Yormark says the Big 12 is done expanding.
Thank God.
Now, okay, so we'll go to you first, my guy. Do you think that just means for now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you're Brett Yormark, right? First of all, let's talk about this Super Bowl halftime party thing.
That's cool.
That is amazing, fellas. Somewhere Greg Sankey is in his office, like, son of a biscuit eating champion. That's a good idea.
So he had Shaq at the Big 12 basketball championship, and now he's going to have Nelly at the halftime of the Big 12 football championship. That's
and there's rumors. I don't know if it's true, but it could be Nelly and Tim McGraw. Like that. This is going to be crazy.
That would be cool.
This is going to be nuts, even if it's just Nelly. But Trent, what do you think the next move is for Brett Yormark?
I don't know that guy. I mean, it's wild because once you think about it, it's like, how has no commissioner thought about that before? You know what I mean? Like, Yormark is such a businessman. Like, he just knows. He's like, I'm going to make this conference championship, not like the Super Bowl, but a smaller version of it. I'm going to have a halftime performance, and did the same thing with basketball. Like, I don't think anybody had ever thought about it.
I'm sure they thought about it, but where's that money come from?
So the question is who's going to be the next conference to start doing that? Because Yormark's leading the way, and the guy, he said it from the jump. He wants the Big 12 to be the cool, hip conference, and he's making it that. What's next? I'd imagine it's going to be something like a concert during the 7th inning stretch of the Big 12 baseball championship, or something wild like that. You know what I mean? Like, who knows with that guy? Okay. But super cool idea.
The answer, Andrew. Okay, changing the gap scheme won't mean shit again. I'm glad that you're here, buddy. We're very happy that you're here. I couldn't disagree more, and that's fine. Yes, we do have Joe Maholsky. Joe Maholsky, he's rotating, right? He's like the kind of like the sixth man type of guy. But yes, we got to take into consideration we've got 5 offensive linemen that have been here for 5 flipping years that are all back together and they're all healthy. Jake Springfield is not going to give up 13 sacks like Caleb Etienne did. It ain't going to happen. Then you have Dalton Cooper as a backup, the same Dalton Cooper who only allowed 7 sacks and 1,328 some odd snaps. Then you take into consideration what Cole Birmingham is able to do. We're 3 deep at the center position. We've got multiple guards that can flip-flop, including Jason Queso-Brooks. This is the best offensive line we've had since Joe Wickline. Point blank, period. Let's see here. What do you think, Jason?
About the expansion or about the line?
Well, we were just jumping in. If you're Brett Yormark, do you be pretty aggressive here? Do you even consider the idea of a UConn, Gonzaga, not a Gonzaga, but a UConn and maybe a San Diego State anymore? Or are you just purely ACC or stay where we are?
Yeah, I'm purely ACC. Okay. I know that they're trying to be slick. The ACC is. They're trying to add Cal and Stanford to restructure that grant of rights, which I think that we, as Big 12, we kind of want that to happen because they're going to use that to try to restructure that grant of rights deal to get out of that a little early. And I think that's going to leave a door and a window open for Florida State and Clemson to try to kick that sucker wide open. And to me, if I'm Brett Yormark, I have a wish list of 4 teams that I want to go after. And that's Pitt, Louisville, Duke, and Georgia Tech. Duke and Georgia Tech are 2 really good basketball programs. Georgia Tech has kind of fallen off. Louisville's a really good basketball program. Pitt has been a very good basketball program. And that gives some very good natural rivals to West Virginia and Cincinnati. Yeah. That gives Georgia Tech, gives Central Florida a traveling partner. And, Duke is Duke. Duke's that's a they're automatically one of the top 3 brands in the Big 12 if they join. So that's my wish list.
Okay.
Miami.
What's your wish list, Trent?
Miami, Pitt, Louisville, and probably Virginia Tech.
Dude, I think I would go the exact same way. I probably would, man. I think I'd probably lean the same direction there.
I know Jason's huge on Georgia Tech because of the market in Atlanta, and I get that. But I just don't think Georgia Tech is good at anything. I don't think they bring other than you got to think though, like you're big on their market in Atlanta, but everybody in Atlanta watches Georgia, especially right now. They're not going to be paying.
Well, that's what they say about us. Everybody in Oklahoma State watches OU, right?
No, that's definitely not true.
Then so what you're saying may not definitely be true.
It is what people say. Right, perception.
Right. But the difference is, Oklahoma State competes at almost everything that they play in. Georgia Tech doesn't. Yes, granted, back in the day, Georgia Tech beat us in the Final Four in 2004 to go on to the national championship. That obviously used to be one of the meccas of college football way back when.
Didn't they win a championship in the 90s in football? Then they split it with Colorado.
That was the 90s. That's like OU. That's like OU fans saying, we're still a national title contender when they haven't won anything since 2000.
I mean, I get that. All I'm saying is that gives us Miami's never come to the Big 12 unless that's an absolute last resort. But I think the Big 10 is snatch them up. Miami's not coming to the Big 12.
Well, we'll see, buddy. We'll see.
Man, that would be the creme de la creme, would it not? In my opinion, getting Miami would be bigger, much bigger than getting Utah.
I don't think it's a creme de la creme. I don't think that they fit in culturally whatsoever with the Big 12. And I think they would be so
fit in culturally with any conference. How shady they've been in.
So why do we want them then?
I just to have that market down there.
They're gonna be good eventually. They're gonna be a marketing giant again eventually.
And that's another reason to get into recruiting in Florida, because Florida has some of the top athletes. Florida and Texas, year in and year out, have the top high school athletes. I mean, I would want another Florida school because of the market down in Miami. And Miami it's interesting because those fans down there, and I've watched plenty of documentaries about the U and, other sporting teams down there. And it seems like those fans are super wishy-washy with, they only want to pay attention if their team is playing good. If Miami's not showing out, then the fans aren't showing up.
Only reason I'm out on Miami is because we are very aligned right now. I say that. Arizona State and Utah may be a little pissed off they're in the Big 12. They say all the right things right now, but I think that was the bugaboo and the hang-up of all 4 corner schools getting here. So there may be a little bit of sour grapes between those 2 universities in the Big 12.
Who'd you say? Sorry, I didn't hear you. Who'd you say?
Utah and Arizona State.
Well, Utah didn't want to come after their AD on Twitter was like, "Oh, we're staying in this conference." You just didn't want to look like a jack. But what
I'm saying is that we're very aligned right now. That's why the Big 12 is in the position they're in right now, because the Hateful Eight, they were so combined and together with what Yormark was wanting to do, and they made very quick, concise decisions. They brought in those 4 schools, which were just happier than all get out to be in the Big 12, just happy to be Power 5.
Yeah.
They were very concise and prompt on making decisions to bring in those other 4 schools. If you're going to add to 18 to 20, you want to make damn sure those schools want to be in this conference, because in 5, 6, 7 years after we sign that grant of rights, I don't want all this bickering back and forth. Miami will be looking for a way out of the Big 12 the second they sign that grant of rights to get in it.
That's an interesting.
And I don't want it.
Maybe so. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I don't think culturally Miami fits in with any Power 5 conference. I just feel like here's the Power 5, and then Miami's way over here. They want to do things their way. So, I get what you're saying. Like, if they get into the Big 12, they might try to bolt in the next opportunity. But
the SEC may pull a real shitty and offer Miami and just kind of stick it to Florida State, since they've always kind of had a SEC and Florida State's always kind of had a back and forth.
Good. Really good. And, adding Miami, the football has been wishy-washy, but Basketball, they're obviously really good. What made it to the Elite Eight this past year. Have a great college basketball coach. They're great at baseball yearly. So those two sports would be great for the Big 12. And I mean, football, you never know with Miami when they're going to get it back. They have the potion to do it, but
I don't know that they really do anymore though. With UCF in South Florida, I don't know if they really do because they're probably getting the third or fourth pickings out of the state of Florida most of the time. Florida State, Florida, and probably Alabama get what they want out of that state before Miami does. So with the resurgence of Central Florida and South Florida in the last 2 decades has had a couple of spurts where they've been pretty good. Miami's fastly falling behind. And with this pay gap, if they can't get out of the ACC in the next 3 or 4 years, with this pay gap, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, speaking of the pay gap, so I was on a show yesterday. Shout out to Fanatics, and we were kind of talking about the top 10 and some of the teams that were overrated, so on and so forth. Whenever you guys look at the top 25 and in terms of the Big 12, we'll shift a little bit here. From a basketball perspective, do you guys anticipate Houston coming in and instantaneously competing for the title? Likewise for Utah in football, yes or no?
Yes. Yes to both.
Both?
Yes to
okay.
both.
Now, why do you think there could be a potential opportunity that neither of them are competing for titles by the time they come in?
Utah, because I think they don't realize how tough this conference is top to bottom in football. I think they can be overlooking that and coming. You got to think they're going to be losing their starting quarterback their first year coming into the Big 12. So they're going to have to figure out who they're going to put at quarterback. And I'm not going to act like I know Utah's roster top to bottom. I don't, but I just, whether the fans think so or not, they're going to get a real dose real quick whenever they come to the Big 12 and see how hard it is to win on a weekly basis in this conference, and your away games are going to be much tougher. Everyone, and that's what I've been saying from the jump. Like, they can, all those Pac-12 schools on the West Coast can sit on a high horse, but they don't really know what college football is, because in the Midwest, we eat, breathe, sleep college football, and you doesn't matter how bad. And look at Kansas last year. I mean, usually they can't fill out their stadium, but I mean they're on cloud 9 right now, and they're the worst team in the Big 12, and their fans are going to start showing up and supporting every team in the Big 12. They're going to show out for their schools. Away games are going to be super tough for Utah. I'm not saying they can't compete, because I think Utah is a great college football team on a yearly basis with their head coach. Benton got hired the same year as Mike Gundy got hired at Oklahoma State. They've both been going on it for a while. But yeah, Houston, I just think they could be one of those teams, they could have gotten a little more praise because they were in a weaker conference, what they were in the American for basketball. So, I mean, it could be tough on them, but I know Kelvin Sampson is a hell of a coach, and he's been here before. Yeah. So he knows what to expect, and I think he's going to get those dudes going.
Man, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Let me kick something to you, Monsieur Jason. When you talk about the new teams on the schedule, all right, real quick, rapid fire, Trent, we can do the same thing. Actually, both of you just answer whenever I ask. You ready? Do we beat Arizona State?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we beat UConn?
Yes.
If we play UConn again in basketball.
Oh, we play UConn again this year?
Yeah, I don't know if we're playing them again this year.
I can't say it. I don't know who all UConn lost. I think they lost 3 or 4 really good players. So I'll say no. I'll say yes, just because I'm on an Oklahoma State basketball high this year. I think we're going to have a really good team, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
All right. This one should be pretty easy. Sorry to throw shade. Houston in football. We got this, yeah?
I hope.
Okay.
Their coach came out and said they were the worst team in the conference, so I hope.
UCF in the bounce house. In like week 10, they're going to be pretty beat up.
We got it.
I agree. And
That's
then finally, lastly, BYU to finish the year in Boone Pickens Stadium. What do y'all think?
Yes.
Yeah? All right. See, everybody's starting to come around to the fact that we're going to be pretty daggone good this season. And you know what, Jason? I will always give you love and props because you have brought up multiple times that if there's one thing that we know for a fact that Gundy does, it's traditionally rebound and respond after crappy seasons. So I guys, you know how excited I am about this season. But before we get to some of the fans kind of driving the show, before we get to that, I want to go to you guys, and I want to talk about some of your best memories you ever remember at Oklahoma State University. Because I'm sure you guys saw people were posting their top 5 favorite players to ever watch on Twitter, right, at Oklahoma State.
Yep.
It was going around anyways. And I thought it was a pretty unique idea to kind of talk about on the show. Like for me, for instance, it was the number 1 was R.W. McQuarters. Not only because of what he was able to do on the football field, especially that double overtime Mizzou game. Like that game changed my life, fellas. Watching that dude play wide receiver, cornerback, safety, punt returner, kick returner, and score a touchdown from like every single position in one game. That's what made me a hardcore R.W. McQuarters fan. And then to go watch him play the game of basketball against one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game. That's why one of the reasons R.W. was my favorite, because of that big double overtime Mizzou game. So
are we specifically just talking about football players, or are we talking about all sports?
Nope. Yep. All of it.
Go ahead, Jason.
Well, I will say, I don't know that I would necessarily put him on my list, but a guy that didn't get mentioned on any of the lists I saw on Twitter, I think it's just a little bit of sour grapes or some shade, was Tyreek Hill. I don't care what happened. I don't care what happened with that. He did what he did. Gundy did what he did. If you say that you didn't jump up and down like a 4-year-old schoolgirl and scream at the top of your lungs when he returned that punt, Bedlam, and Dave Hunziker says, the cheetah's on the loose, then you ain't an Oklahoma State fan, my guy. So that was probably the most electric play in Oklahoma State football history. And he didn't even get mentioned.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. He did not get mentioned. Brandon Pettigrew, Billy Badgema, Barry Sanders, Darius Bowman.
I played against Billy Badgema in high school.
Oh, yeah?
Stud.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would imagine. And you know what? It's funny. So you're talking about the tight end position, right? We're finally bringing the tight end position back after it not being very relevant for so long.
He played quarterback in high school, though, my guy.
Hold on, Andrew. If you're going to make a comment like that, bro, you at least need to know he's not guilty, my friend. You need to look into that before you go.
And first of all, I didn't say I was supporting him either, Andrew. You sound like a freaking dipshit. I just said he wasn't mentioned.
Yeah, and he's also not a wife beater, my friend. So
okay, so I mean, since it is what it is, and Andrew opened the door. So yeah, he did punch his girlfriend at Oklahoma State, and he did leave. Didn't Tyreek Hill already admit this?
Nope.
And
he actually dropped.
He picked her up and sat her outside of her apartment. It's on recording. It's literally all on recording. Yeah.
I knew the second time she came after him, she admitted that she made it all up, right? That she was beating up. He was beating
made
up
it all up in general, dude. It was all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they had their arguments, but he never once punched that girl.
Okay, that's
and
what.
Hey, and listen,
I just remember that was in the.
And see, that's my thing. Is like it drives me nuts because so many Oklahoma State fans bash him, which rightfully so. If he did do that, shame him. I don't blame it. I don't support that at all. But if you're going to make statements like that, at least know for a fact that that's what's happened. But that's not what happened. So it drives me crazy. Okay. The Oklahoma State fans, they literally just sit there and bash the guy without really knowing. They're just going off of what they heard 10 years ago when he was at our school. They never heard anything after that. His baby mama coming out and admitting that none of that stuff was true. They're just like, oh, you know what? Gundy kicked him off the team. Gundy did the right thing. He did when it was an accusation. He didn't want that news shadowing the program, so he did what he had to do.
And let's not act like that was the first thing that had ever happened between Tyreek Hill and Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy wasn't just going to kick him off the team for this. There was some other stuff that I'm sure had gone down, arguments and fights and maybe some attitude problems, and Gundy just used that as an excuse to say, "See you, bud."
I don't know about don't know about
this is David. Thank you very much. David is my guy. Thank you very much.
I'll say he was the best. Oh, my Lanta. Yeah, Jason, appreciate you stopping in. Where's old
Creek? I didn't even think about that. That's true.
What?
Really
Well,
true.
hold on. Andrew Petty needs to. Yeah, hey, you need to stay around and collect this ass whooping verbally, because you seem ridiculous. You know what, buddy? You're
But see, the difference between Joe Mixon and Tyreek is that was caught on camera. So yeah, screw Joe Mixon. Tyreek, the only thing you're going off of is what his baby mama said, and that was not the first time that she tried to accuse him of stuff and ended up looking stupid doing so.
Boy,
Andrew,
Andrew on the show.
I did not think that my Tyreek Hill comment was going to open this can of worms.
I do. No, I think you're right, and I actually didn't even know
his baby mama was super toxic, Dustin. Thank you for bringing that up. Because, like,
but Andrew, keep firing away. This is fun. Every time you write something, you make yourself look more special vest requirement level. So please carry on, having a good time with it. Our buddy, Mr. Greg Swaim, was at Houston game when Gundy replaced Williams after half. It was obvious right away. Yeah, no, Gundy was great, guys. Gundy was a great quarterback. But Gundy himself even says that he had the easiest job in the history of college football because all he had to ever do was turn around and hand the ball off to Barry Sanders and Thurman Daggum Thomas.
Dang, Greg.
Hey, my guy
helps a bit.
My guy caught some passes, and if his roommate would have caught the damn ball in Bedlam in '88, jeez. Son of make me want to curse on live TV.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. This is okay. This is a good time to kind of let some of the people in the chat. So everybody in the chat, if you want to fire away some questions, comments, concerns, feel free to try to outdo Andrew on the ridiculousness. We're beyond okay with that. We're a playoff team in 2015 with Tyreek. Yeah, dude, you're probably right. Could you imagine, right? Not only if he would have been able to stay, I would think that Gundy, it's a mixed bag for me. I'm not saying Gundy did the wrong thing. I'm just saying that he did it too quickly, right? Gundy should have waited a little bit and kind of seen exactly what went on instead of just going by the police report. So it sucks. And if Tyreek Hill would have ever been a wide receiver at Oklahoma State, and we could have we got to see it a lot out of the backfield, right? He'd run them on wheel routes and delayed routes and stuff like that. But, he chose Oklahoma State because we were the only really school that told him he could play running back and run track at the same time. So it was what it was. He didn't want to play wide receiver. Alabama, Auburn, Texas, Tennessee, they all told him, we'll give you, we want you, but we want you to play wide receiver. Oklahoma State was like, yeah, you can play running back. Why not? We never got to see what Tyreek could have been.
The quickness that Gundy dismissed him, I don't know that I really will comment on that one way or the other because it's kind of like the conversations we had back in the winter with the wide receiver room and with Spencer Sanders and all that stuff. I'm not saying that what you said is not the truth, but what I'm going to say is I was not involved in any of those conversations, and I don't know what Mike Gundy said. I don't know what Tyreek Hill said. I don't know what Tyreek Hill's representation said to the coaching staff. I don't have any clue as to how that went down. So did Gundy do it a little too soon or did he not? Who knows? I mean, we're never going to know because we don't know the entirety of the situation. We just know that he was accused of something. There's a police report, and he was off the team. That's all we really know.
Yeah. Yeah, Gundy threw a decent amount, but, I mean, come on, Wet. You and I both know that it was a lot of swing passes, a lot of wheel routes, a lot of seam routes, and it was primarily backfield mates and Hartley Dykes.
I know, but leading passer in Big 8 history.
Yeah. I'm not okay with super. I just got away. What? I don't understand that one.
He's just saying he should have just left the situation or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I agree with you. Whoever said that, but it's a lot easier said than done.
Creekwater, you are getting high on somebody else's supply, buddy.
Hold on, Dax Garman had a pretty deep ball, dude. That dude could slay a deep ball.
That's all he had.
I know.
That was the only throw.
I know. Some bitch was a tight spiral, though. It looked real pretty.
Garman, man.
You know what? Actually, you know what? Damn it, Creek. Maybe I need to get high on somebody's supply because you're right. You are right. Dax Garman had one pass and one pass only, but we didn't have
Tyreek.
Okay. I got you, man. I don't care what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh, atta baby Greg. You tell him. Oh, Andrew's back in it. who is the best running back at OSU since Barry Sanders?
That's
Chris Carson.
Yeah, I'd say probably Chris Carson. I mean, Tyreek Hill was a running back at Oklahoma State, so you could technically go that route.
Hey, Jalen, did y'all see Jalen Warren the other day in the preseason?
Yeah,
he busted out that long tutty. Are we talking about like career-wise at OSU or just overall, including the professional? Because Chris Carson, he was great, but I don't think his obviously OSU career, he was only there for 2 years, but I don't think in the 2 years he was there, his stats were like anything to jaw drop. Like, oh my gosh, dude, the best running back since Barry.
Guys, Chris Carson didn't even start at O State.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
That doesn't make just like the corn dog scenario. That don't mean he wasn't good though.
I think, dude, there's so many good. I mean, we had Kendall Hunter, Tatum Bell, Keith Taylor. We had some dogs and Chuba Hubbard. We had some really good.
We forget about. I mean, Joseph Randall was the guy.
Was
the Dallas Cowboys.
He was.
He could quit stealing underwear and cologne from the mall.
Yeah, I know, man. What I mean, I understand. I understand some people have fetishes, and that's cool. But what are you doing? You're a multimillionaire stealing panties and bras. Like, and then to do it again and then try to run somebody over or something like that. Like, he just went off the deep. Yeah, David, I was just saying, the Ravens love Justice Hill.
They do.
They love Justice Hill.
They do. I just think if Chris Carson hadn't gotten hurt, if he was able to stay healthy, he was going to be he was one of the top 5 best backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
If he was healthy.
When he came to Oklahoma State, the problem he had was he was like, so much better than everybody else in JUCO. He came to Oklahoma State, and he tried to make it applicable. So he was trying to bounce it outside, trying to get shifty, remember? And then the next year, almost halfway through the season, something changed, right? He started just running people over. And Gundy admitted it was that they had a conversation, right? You are a physical guy. Stop trying to juke people all the time. And for a year, Chris Carson didn't listen. He wanted to be fancy. He wanted to work on footwork. You know what I mean? When he finally bought into, you know what? I'm just going to run people over and see what happens. If he'd have had that mindset the whole year and a half he was there before he got PTE, you know what I mean? It would have been a different scenario. Yeah, we just talked about Joe Randall. Dontrell Savage.
Your take was probably one of the only takes I'll ever agree with you on, buddy. So kudos to that, because I'm with you. I don't think Gundy does a great job at understanding who QB1 is either.
He doesn't have the greatest history.
It's just wild because he was a quarterback, and his judgment on our quarterbacks it's wild. I don't know why he's like that, but I agree with Greggy.
David, I agree with you, and I'm sure Jason and Trent probably do as well. Leslie O'Neal is probably historically the best defensive player at Oklahoma State, but what we just watched Malcolm Rodriguez do, the transformation from him as a freshman to him as leaving Oklahoma State, I would say that if he continues his trajectory he has in the NFL, he'll have an argument for the best defensive player ever at Oklahoma State too.
Yeah. I think what David's mainly saying, though, is his career at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And I think just for what they did in Stillwater, I don't think it's a question that Leslie O'Neal was probably the best defender to ever come through there.
Yeah.
And then we've had some good ones. We've had some really good ones.
Chuba's still fighting with Foreman for that starting job.
Foreman's in Chicago now, but it's Chuba's game to win. They got homeboy from Philly. What's his name? One of the running backs from Philly, but I agree with Krieg. Chuba should be running back 1 if he can stay healthy. It's
damn. I didn't know Greg Swain was that old. Holy
Greg,
shit.
Bro, what are you doing? Do you want me to send you a link so you can jump on this bad mamma jamma? Let me know, buddy.
I didn't realize he was that old.
Chuba, yeah. Greg Swain, he's like the Big 12 and non-president, but we've got to watch him. We want to make sure he doesn't have any Biden-esque moments. So we kind of gather him occasionally.
Make sure he takes his ginkgo biloba before on the show.
What do we got? Chuba average 6. Yeah, that's awesome.
I do want to. I'm going to say something that's probably going to be a little controversial. Might get me viral like Oliver Anthony did last weekend for his little tune. Mike,
are you going to sing for us?
No. You've already witnessed that. No.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy will win National Coach of the Year this year.
If we win 11 games, 100%. I agree.
Mike Gundy will win National Coach of the Year this year.
Dude, I can't argue that. You know what I mean? Like, I am insanely invested in this team, and I think that I know for 100% certainty, just in film clips, that we are light years away from last fall. Like, it's not even close. The install stuff, legitimately, the installation that we were still doing week 5 into last season, we did during the spring.
Guys, we're literally 6 days away from college football.
I know, man. No,
you know what? That's a good little thing. Oh yeah, good call, Creek, Kevin Williams. How do we forget about him? Yeah, good call, bud. Isn't he already in the Vikings Hall of Fame?
I think he is in the Vikings Ring of Honor or whatever they call that.
Yeah. With Sanders. Why? Okay, Dustin, that's interesting. What do y'all think about that? What kind of offense should we have been running?
More. What do you want?
Wishbone, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I thought we ran something that's similar to what we ran whenever having a brain fart right here after Bobby Reed. Dadgummit.
Zach Robinson.
Yes, golly, having a brain fart. We ran something very similar to that the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, we let Spencer Sanders have all the freedom to take off and run with the football that he wanted. That's why he was so damn beat up 90% of the time. He didn't know how to protect his body sometimes.
So, Jason, why I got you on here? You're rocking your Broncos hat. Tell me what you foresee for the Broncos this year. I know it's a little off topic, but
we're gonna win 12 or 13 games and win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl, baby. We're gonna beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead at the AFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl, baby.
I'll tell you what, fellas. I don't have the schedule date in front of me, but I will be most likely. I'm 95% sure. I'll be going to the Washington Commanders game, and I'll be meeting up with Tatum Bell and his son. I'll be bringing my son as well. So if either of y'all can make it up to Denver for the Commanders game, we could probably go take over a Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that.
I've never been to an NFL game. I've always wanted to.
No, there's a really cool brewery a couple blocks away from Broncos Stadium. I believe it's in downtown. It's called, I believe, Rock Bottom Brewery. I went there when I was in Denver. Was it last year, the year before?
Yeah.
On a Sunday, we went in there and my buddy and I were watching some games. It was a great atmosphere for watching football. So no B-dubs up there, man. We'll go to Rock Bottom.
Dude, actually, there's I'm not gonna lie to you. There is quite a few phenomenal restaurants in the Denver, Colorado Springs.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
Elway's, baby. Elway's.
Yeah. You know what? Here, Connor, this is kind of interesting. You think coaches put too much stock in quarterback drills? You know what, man? I think that it's primarily contingent upon what the objective is for that quarterback. For instance, this offseason, Garrett Rangel needed to put on weight, put on like 18 pounds. Garrett Rangel needed to get faster, shave 2/10 off of his 40. Garrett Rangel also needed to raise his throwing motion a little bit to get a little bit more wrist action on it, to get a little bit more zing, which he was able to do, which you saw in clips that OSU put out, yesterday on Twitter. So, yeah, if you know that somebody's got to change some stuff, I think you're going to do a crap ton of drills. On the opposite side of the spectrum, if your dude's already squared away, then you're going to do more install and understanding of gap responsibility and all that fun jazz. So I think it just depends on your quarterbacks, where they are and their process of evaluation dictates kind of how many drills you do.
That kind of goes back to my theory earlier about the quarterbacks and what I was saying earlier. You know, I don't really put too much stock into the turnovers and stuff because a lot of stuff's situational. They put, certain quarterbacks get put in certain situations during certain parts of practice. And Brandon Weeden was the first person to admit that he was a terrible practice player. Like, he hated practice and he practiced like shit, for that lack of a better term. And then Alex Caton nor Brandon Weeden really had much time on the field to speak of. So Gundy really didn't have any live game film. And y'all all played competitive sports. Some kids, they act like they don't know what the hell is going on in practice. And when it's Friday Night Lights and that whistle blows, a light switch goes off, and they're the best football player on the field, and you're like, what the heck? Like, you couldn't remember 3 plays in a row in practice, and now you're out here running for 170 yards. Like, some people, when the lights kick on and when it's real competition time, there's just nothing to compare to those actual reps. And those are the reps that Rangel and Gunner both got. And I know they were young. I know it was a bad situation. But I saw Rangel in real situations. And for me, I'm just not interested in him being a quarterback moving forward. Just not.
Well, that's fair. That's the beauty.
Rawls can turn into a Datewan Low. Datewan Low was a dog. So that'd be a home run for us.
Lyric Rawls is already significantly better than Datewan Low as we speak right now.
What?
And you know what? Yeah, guaranteed.
I haven't seen him play enough to even compare him because Low was a dog, dude.
Yeah.
He was involved in everything. And I mean,
I got you, man.
Oh, Greg down there getting some free advertisement.
Yeah, that's what Greg, you could have plugged yourself with your face if you'd have jumped on the daggone show. I see how you are.
I do want to ask Greg, though, and this isn't throwing any shots at you, Greg. I'm just curious what your take is on Elon Musk getting rid of the block button on Twitter.
Did you say Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, however you pronounce his name.
What world are we living in right now?
I'm curious because I can't wait to go after TJ Altimore once he gets rid of that block button on there. You know, everyone's going to be going after TJ.
Oh, you better watch out. People start putting litigation on you. You better watch out. They'll be like,
don't even do
POs against you.
Don't even do it. Like Greg will tell you, I've tried several times, and I've actually had conversations with Tony, and yeah, it just it ain't gonna happen. He ain't gonna do it. He will not publicly eat his crow and take his verbal ass whooping, and it's fine. It is what it is. I think
Carson is right. I mean, and isn't it so weird how 1 or 2 plays in a player's career can totally swing the train of thought about that player?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
To me, I agree. To me, Justin Gilbert was one of the top 5 defensive players of the Mike Gundy era.
He was probably my favorite defensive player that I've seen at Oklahoma State since I've been alive. I really enjoyed Justin Gilbert.
Go back one, Cody. Go back one.
This one?
Yeah. Datewan Low was awesome, Andrew. And yes, Rawls has played in 1 game. But that still doesn't mean that Rawls isn't better. That doesn't. Yeah. Those 2 weren't mutually exclusive. God bless.
If you want to say that he played more games, then yeah, sure. But we also got to take into consideration, Luke Rawls is only a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, both those statements are true, Andrew. Datewan Low was awesome, and Rawls has played 1 game. Good job. Both factual statements.
Oh, Jason, I love you. Oh, there you go. Look at that, Jason. Greg can't give you an answer on Tony because he's got too many grandkids in the room. Oh. Tatum Bell. Yeah, dude. Yes.
Yeah, with my Denver Broncos, baby.
Yep.
One of my top 3 Bronco Cowboys of all time.
So speaking of, Jason, look at you consummate professional seguer right there. Did either of y'all have the opportunity to catch my top 3 Broncos show?
I did. And I told you the only one that I would have changed was what I would have put Antonio on there only because he won a Super Bowl with the Broncos.
And that's fair. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm glad I asked you. I
most people don't even really remember that he played there. He played there for 1 or 2 seasons. So
when I think Antonio Smith, like I would put Antonio Smith as top 3 all time. And I guess this is going to be a little bit of a leak for a later show, but top 3 for me all time in Houston Texans is Antonio Smith for 100%.
Sure, I got you.
Hey, bro, y'all are crazy. What do you? Okay, Andrew.
Another factual statement.
Favorite defense from? Yeah, dude. Yeah. We forget, and correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all can correct me. Didn't Kevin Williams play linebacker at O State?
No, he always played with his hand on the ground.
Okay.
Interior defensive lineman.
I disagree. You know what? I like this because I think this is a very good debate, and this could be pretty fun right here. What do you guys think about OU?
But why do we want OU to do good, Trent? What does it matter? It don't mean
because
shit.
It matters from a Big 12 perspective because everyone bashes on the Big 12 and doesn't think the Big 12 is worth a dang. So if OU and Texas, as much as I hate to say it, and I don't want them to, the better that they do, the better the Big 12 looks, and people will start giving respect to the Big 12.
Yeah, Jason, you know good and daggone well that if OU and Texas end up 7th, 8th, 9th place, every person in America is going to be like, see, the Big 12 was always trash. They were in an easy conference bubble. But if they go in there and they're both competing top 3, top 5 every single year, people are going to say, all right, the Big 12 was kind of dope because they couldn't even win the Big 12.
But you go leaps and bounds beyond that of telling people that the Big 12 is a legit conference. Do what TCU did. We got to have 2 or 3 programs do what TCU did every 2 years.
Regardless, I am a firm believer Texas will do much better in the SEC than they will in the Big 12.
I am too.
You know, David, I wouldn't go that far. I will say that Gunner doesn't get any benefit in that category, and we saw it at the Kansas State game, right? Remember, they came out after the game and said that they decided to go with Garrett because Garrett beat him out in practice. Remember all that?
If Gunner's better than Bowman, I will eat my shoe on live TV.
Smuts.
What?
If Gunner is better than Alan Bowman, I will eat my shoe on TV.
Oh. Yeah, no, he's not. And that's the thing. Gunner Gundy is not the starter, shouldn't be the starter. I don't think he'll necessarily be the starter. But, yes, if Alan Bowman were to go down and, Garrett Rangel was dealing with a little bit of a finger issue, let's just say that's the example, he would be very hesitant still to put Gunner in the game. Like, he admitted it on the sideline to Robert Allen, and then Robert Allen decided to tell everybody that was listening to 93.7 that Gundy just said that he's actually starting Garrett Rangel over Gunner Gundy because he doesn't want the negative blowback. That's word for word what he said.
I just figured out the perfect package. You said there was going to be some packages for Gunner.
Yes.
Figured out the perfect situation, the perfect package for Gunner Gundy this season.
Are you going to say some funny sideline shit?
No. Field goal, holder. Perfect. Make him the holder.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that.
You know what? RA does need to retire. Oh, this is great. Guys, Robert Allen is – guys, he's what? He is the most connected dude of anybody in the world to O State. We all know that he kind of finger fluffs his way around it sometimes. But this is a good topic. Did y'all see the other day when Seth Duckworth's story got canned?
That was such bullshit.
So
man.
RA could put out his
that was
what that was about.
Shady. Yeah, and here's the thing, guys. I've talked to y'all about how many times that people have tried to start podcasts, tried to start shows and blogs and stuff that have been shut down. It's always by the same people doing the same things.
He had to, let me get this straight. He had to delete his article because Robert Allen wanted to be the first one to.
He didn't have to. They called him and asked him to redact a story.
Well, he'll be on the show tomorrow. So
because they wanted Robert Allen to report it first.
Yes,
I guess because as soon as he redacted his story, Robert Allen put it up there.
And he didn't even use the highlight stuff of Seth's article. Like, he didn't break anything down. And it is what it is. It's a battle that will continue to go on, which is precisely why if you're in here and you haven't liked it, like the daggone thing, comment, share it. We're definitely on the road to 2K before the end of football season this year.
Well, hold up real quick before we move on, Greggy. That's like saying Robert Allen needs to retire. That's like saying Larry Reese and Dave Hunziker need to retire. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
Okay, hold on. That's not the same at all. Because
I'm saying in a sense of regardless of how it is, Robert Allen is not, whether we like him or not, he's not going to retire.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I mean by that. I'm not disagreeing saying Robert Allen is the best. I agree in the sense of, yes, Robert Allen is the most connected within Oklahoma State. Whether we like him or not, he's not going to retire.
That's a good point, Connor.
Yep. Connor, you nailed it, buddy. Point. That is exactly it. That's the thing. And it's frustrating, y'all. I mean, I don't want to, banter or preach because I've talked to you guys about it, but it is difficult. It is difficult to be in this area of O State space to some degree because there is a lot of difficulty involved with some of the stuff. Jason, are you just playing flipping frack?
That battle,
No, I had
I had no idea about that. Someone needs to call in on the Robert Allen show and burn him for that.
I think
that's the thing.
just
Hold on. If you go to war, if you start a war with Robert Allen, you will never get access to anything big while he's there.
I think Greg Swain's just vying for a job here. I think he wants him to can Robert Allen so he can just swoop on in there.
You know what? Greg's actually got some really cool stuff cooking that we'll all hear about in a few days.
Yeah, I agree with you, Greggy. I'm not saying that they aren't credible. I wasn't saying that. I was saying in the sense of it's just not.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Trent. I know.
Yeah, he expounded on it, Greg. He expounded on it for sure. Some people will be happy.
Well, speaking of retiring, hang on. Speaking of retiring, when you were talking about Utah a little bit ago, I was on a space with some pretty reputable Utah fans, and there's a big contingency out there that thinks that he'll retire after that. Whittingham will retire after this year. Really? I guess he's been kind of mulling it around, and they're saying that this move to a new conference, they're thinking this might be the perfect time for him just to hang it up. He has been there. This will be his 19th season.
If that's the case, they won't be
right. I get that, and that's what they were saying, but there's a big contingency of them that think that he may retire after this season.
I don't even think they're going to, I've said it from the jump, I don't think they're going to come in and be the win I think they can be a top 5 team in the conference coming in, but I don't think they're going to be winning anything anytime soon.
David, from what I've been told, Casey Dunn's not exactly the greatest guy in the world, but he is a savant with wide receivers.
I have some inside information this time.
Hit me, Goose.
So I talked to a guy, I'm a crane inspector. I talked to an engineer at a big crane company here in the area, and he played there in the 2012 to like 2014, 2015, somewhere in that time frame, and he was a walk-on wide receiver. He told me that he thinks, and this is going to hurt coming out of my mouth, Cody's going to give me shit for it. He thinks that we will never win a national championship with Mike Gundy as head coach because he's a fantastic coach. He's great with his players, but he doesn't have that it factor, like the shit that Sonny Dykes was doing last year. He doesn't have that. And he said that Casey Dunn does have that, but he's not a very good communicator. He said Casey Dunn's the kind of guy that wants to kick you in the throat and then step on your throat and cut your genitals off. Like Casey Dunn is ruthless, he said. And that's what Mike Gundy's missing. But so
I think Mike Gundy used to have that.
And you guys know I've done several shows with the idea of this season needs to be Mike Gundy, all gas, no brakes, just throw it all to the wind, man. Just you know what I mean? Just throw it all to the wind.
And doesn't it feel like it's shaping up to be one of those seasons? Like
it does.
Gundy's been very cordial with the media. He's been telling jokes. Oh, I'm Nostradamus, blah, blah, blah. I've been telling you all this is going to happen. He's laughing, joking, wiping sweat off his face, trying to kill flies, like just being good old country boy Mike, right? Like good old rattlesnake hunter Mike.
Yeah.
So to me, it sounds like, and I don't think he would have this mentality if it was going terribly in the preseason. If fall camp wasn't going very good and he didn't think we were going to be very good, I don't think he would be this chipper unless he was like, you know what, we're going to suck this year and this is going to be my last one. So I'm just going to be cordial and I'm going to go out on a high note with the media. That could be the only reason if he didn't think we were going to be good that I could see him being as happy as he is right now.
True. I mean, he is carrying himself a little bit different.
I thought he was going to retire the 2015 or 14 season whenever Tyreek returned the punt. We were 5-6 going into that game. If we don't win that game, we don't go to a bowl game.
Yep.
And so we win that game in overtime or kick the field goal, maybe in regulation. I thought it was in overtime. And Mike Gundy's whole demeanor changed right then. From when he walked into that press conference and we knew we were bowl eligible, his whole demeanor changed. But for 5 or 6 weeks through that season, I thought he was going to retire. Or leave and go.
I thought he was going to get fired.
No, that'll never happen.
I'm saying back then there was a lot of people.
Oh, in 2014?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If
we'd have lost that game, I guarantee you. Well, I'm of the understanding that Gundy would have had a check waiting for him in Stillwater.
Joe Biden's got a better chance of getting impeached than Mike Gundy does of getting fired at Oklahoma State.
Well, now that Boone and Holder are out, for sure, you are 100% right. I think you and I don't know, man. Sometimes it's deserved. You know what, Greg? I will actually shoot you a text when we get off of here. Yeah. I'll shoot you a text any daggone ways. Yeah, dude, done through a few people, including
It wasn't just Wrangle.
Yeah, he threw Mike Gundy under the bus after what game was that? It wasn't TCU. What was right after TCU?
K-State.
It might have been after K-State or after KU, but yeah, Dunn 100% threw Gundy under the bus when he was talking about, well, that's not the play that I would have run, but you know what I mean?
Texas was after TCU, by the way.
Okay.
Lost to TCU, beat Texas, lost to the two Kansas schools.
Dunn doesn't mind throwing people under the bus to the media. It's kind of fun. I don't necessarily mind it, right?
Hey, call a spade, right? If Mike Gundy's doing shit he's not supposed to do, somebody should call him out. And if Dunn feels secure enough in his job that he can do that,
yeah.
If Gundy did something wrong, then somebody needs to hold him accountable. Same for any of the wide receivers that Dunn coaches. Same for any of the position players. Any of those coaches coach. If there's something to be said, so basically what you're saying is exactly what the OU fans are saying about Kenny G and his comments about Kelly Maxwell. Called her out on her bullshit, right? Like, he said it's going to be tough for her to come back as long as I'm here. To me, that's not throwing shade at her. That's just saying what's real and what it is, right? So,
yeah. Well, every situation is different, and
sure.
Kelly's situation was bold-faced stabbing her
KD
stuff, back.
Kevin Durant type stuff, man.
Yes. Yeah. Carson. Fellas, I don't know. Yeah, you guys know Carson. I've had some conversations with Carson. I will say this: Carson is phenomenal at doing research. But no, no.
I don't know. The guy that I talked to said he loved playing for Casey Dunn. He said he absolutely loved him.
Well, yeah, you got to appreciate the hard-nosed stuff. But to say that guys that didn't like him were the ones that didn't get play, that's just not even close to true, bud. That's
look at last year. That's definitely not the case.
You're better than that.
That were starting that were playing that left. So
this is great. You know what, guys? I appreciate you coming in. This is going longer than normal, but we usually don't do this much interaction. So if you guys need to go, just let me know.
No, I'm good, man.
At this point in time, we're just having fun.
Greg, I agree 100%.
Yeah, bro.
1,000%. I don't care what any of the Gooner fans say, like, keep it in-house, blah, blah, blah. You know for a fact, Joe Castiglione, Bob Stoops, and anybody else in that football program, when that B out west did what he did, and Caleb Williams packed his shit and went with him, they were saying the exact same things. They just didn't have the balls to say it in the media.
Yeah. Hey, Trent. Wake up, Buttercup.
I'm up. I'm just letting you guys do your thing.
Well, now it's your time to do your thing, my guy.
What's that?
All right, here we go. I'm gonna send something at you, and you're gonna send it back. Does Oklahoma State more likely have 1,000 plus yard receiver, or is it more likely that we have 3 700-yard receivers? What do you got?
I'll say 3 700-yard receivers.
Okay.
Easily.
Jason?
Based off, I don't know. I would have said the 3 700-yard receivers if Arlen Bruce was going to play.
Free my boy Arlen Bruce. He's innocent. He's innocent. Thank you for bringing that up, Jason. We all know my boy's innocent. I actually, he's getting a lot. I don't think that it is. I think they actually have the receipts from FanDuel. I was in a library the other day and went past the newspaper stand, and he was right there on the front of the newspaper. A good old picture of my boy Arlen Bruce.
Yeah, in an Iowa jersey.
Not Iowa jersey, man. Slipping intentionally.
Yeah, Creek said. Oh yeah, this is good. Y'all saw this, right? That Gundy said the body by glass system.
I did see that comment the other day.
We're like 20 years into Rob Glass, and this was the third highest rated.
He said in the top 3. He didn't say in which order. He just said it was in the top 3.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. Top 3. Top 3 greatest, and you're talking about speed, agility, the guys who need to lose a certain amount of weight, the guys who need, like I think the between the linebackers and the safeties, the average weight gain was like 17 pounds.
Well, didn't Rangel put on like 17 pounds as well?
He put on 17 pounds in the offseason. I think he's even put on a couple more since then. Yeah, dude. That Rob Glass caught a lot of flack last year, right? So I'm assuming that he has something to prove too. But again, what
You can never factor in injuries, though. You can never factor in how injuries are going to affect your squad. And
True.
I know people say it's a cop-out, but we went through so many injuries last year. We had so much rotation on the offensive line. Our defense was banged up from time to time. You cannot put an equation on how much that affects your overall, just your mentality, the demeanor in practice, how hard you can go in practice, how many reps those guys were getting throughout the week. Like, I was hearing that Spencer Sanders wasn't practicing at all most of the week. So they're taking reps with Rangel and Gunner, and then they got to go out different snap, cadences, different type of court. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's just different.
There are slight differences that can make things slightly
subtle nuances can make a big difference in a football game.
Trent, what do you think about this comment here, bud?
I think Trent's frozen, my guy.
Hey, frozen peas. Wake up over there. Well, anyway, Jason, what do you think?
As an Oklahoma State fan, I hate to admit this, but I need OU to go 8-0 coming to the Bedlam game. So I mean, obviously we want them to be undefeated or one loss. I mean, you want that to be a top 15, maybe a top 10 type matchup to 8-0, 7-1 type teams playing in that game. Obviously, you want that in prime time.
Carson, bro, no, you were ridiculously wrong on this one, my guy. You're not wrong all that often. But yeah, you're kind of left field on this ridiculousness right here, buddy.
I mean, I do kind of agree with his John Paul. I do think John Paul wanted to be featured more. I do think that was why he was interested in leaving. And I think that all the other stuff, when everybody else walked out the door, I just think he gave him that last little push to go do it too. You know what I mean?
Bro. No. So we've talked about this. He got forced to play the X position, X receiver in the bowl game. And they got in not really a fight, but there was a pretty significant disagreement between Casey Dunn and several wide receivers. He wanted to stay at the slot position. Everybody wanted him to stay at the slot position, even the X position guys. And Dunn said, I don't care. It's a done deal. He's an X receiver. He's not a slot anymore. And that's kind of and that was before the bowl game, mind you. So, yeah, he really wanted to be a slot receiver. And obviously TCU was like, hell yeah, you can play the slot. You don't have to go outside. Now,
hey, and more power to you. More power to you.
Yeah, but why would Casey do that? Why would Dunn do that?
Who knows? Maybe he needed him to play that position. Maybe he felt like that was what was best for Oklahoma State. Who knows?
Yeah.
Casey Dunn's a lot smarter football guy, especially when it comes to wide receivers than I am. So if that's what Casey Dunn saw that JP needed to do, then that is the position that we're in with the transfer portal. So JP didn't like the position that he was moved to. He has an option to go transfer. And whether it was I want to play slot or I want to be featured more, whatever the case was, there was a rift there between him and Casey Dunn. Casey said one thing, JP wanted a different way. So JP took it upon himself, which he has the right to do, and he bounced. And I'm okay with that. I'm not talking shade. I'm not talking shit about any of these receivers that left, because you can do what you want to do, man.
Yeah, I get it. David wants me to eat my shoe. I don't get it.
I said that if Rangel was better than Bowman, I would eat my shoe.
Ooh, why'd you say that?
Because it's not going to be true.
Oh man.
Actually, I think I said if Gunner.
Yeah, I think you did say Gunner. Yeah. I think you're safe here.
I'll say it for Rangel too. If he turns out to be
better than
Bowman,
Jason,
I'll eat my shoe. I'm telling you, dude.
Wide receivers are divas. No, we are not. You take that back and you like it wet. We are not divas at all. Come on, man.
No, hey, easy. Don't say that. You like it wet. Don't say that.
Y'all are being soft on Dunn. I remember what.
Well, I wasn't on this pod last December. First of all, another fantastic take from Andrew.
No, this is good. This is good. You know why this is good, buddy? Because I don't know what you're referring to, but if you're referring to the pods that Casey Dunn should have been fired, he should have. Like, what are you talking about, man? I've never backed down from the fact that Casey Dunn did an absolutely horrendous job. I have said, Jason, have I not said 1,000 times that Casey Dunn probably should have been demoted? Jason McAdoo should have been fired. Charlie Dickey should have been fired. Like, this is not new. Come on, man. Don't jump up
You
in
have
here.
said that from the word jump, from the first time I ever got on Twitter Space.
Yes.
And the first time we ever interacted with each other, that's been your stance. Now, my stance has not necessarily been the other side of it. My stance has always just been, I wasn't there. I don't know what conversations were had. Moms and dads and players can say whatever the hell they want to, but there's 3 sides to every story. Yours, mine, and the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? So I don't know what happened, so therefore I'm not going to form an opinion.
I get it, man, but yeah, dude, I have never been shy. What do you guys think about Baylor this year?
I do not. Blake Shapen is in the same realm to me as a Garrett Rangel. Can he win ball games if your defense plays outstanding and you run the ball? 100%, I think Garrett Rangel could come in there and win ball games for us. But is he a good Division I college quarterback? No.
Man, I actually, you know what? I don't think that's a bad comp. I think it's a pretty decent comp. But I also think that Blake Shapen is, I think he's pretty good, right? I think he was definitely better than Gary Bohannon. Bold move that did not work out there for Dave Aranda. But the reason I don't think Baylor's going to be all that great is because they don't have the support, man. They don't have, last year, when we went to Waco, we were both 4-0 and we were both top 12, correct? Am I accurate? Top 15?
What, when we went to Waco?
Yeah. We were both undefeated.
Yeah, but it was so early in the season. I can't remember.
Anyways, we
were in the top 10 when we played TCU, so it wouldn't surprise me. Yes.
And they show a panning of the stadium in the second quarter, and you see this whole massive section of nothing but metal bleachers, and I was like, what is happening? And it's the 5th time I've watched a Baylor game, and there's 3/4 of a crowd, and they're ranked in the top 10.
Sure.
It blows my ever-loving mind. And another thing people have brought up to me that makes some sense. Jason, let me ask you this, and everybody hammer away down in the comment section too. Do you think Dave Aranda was only a Big 12 champion, not only, but primarily a Big 12 champion because of Joey Maguire?
Maybe so. I just think that season for Baylor, they caught lightning in a bottle. We beat them by 10 or 14 points earlier that season.
Correct.
And I think down the stretch, their defense played so well. They had a couple of dudes that are next level guys that play on Sundays up front on their defense. They're really good in the back end. They got a lot of team speed. Aranda's a good enough defensive mind. They were able to confuse Spencer Sanders, which I don't think that's real hard because I think Spencer Sanders struggled to read defenses his entire career, but he was able to confuse him enough and get enough pressure up the middle of the interior of the defense to get him to throw stupid passes over the middle and back across the middle, floating away. If it hadn't been for those 4 interceptions, they definitely don't beat. We beat them by 3 touchdowns if we don't turn the ball over like that. Yeah. So I think they caught lightning in a bottle towards the end of the season.
That is fair. Dom is no. I have not heard that. I've heard Richard Reese is the hands down starter, and
I think Richardson probably gets more reps at Baylor than Spencer Sanders does at Ole Miss, though.
Ooh. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't think I agree with that.
You said since day one you think Spencer's going to be the starter down there, and I don't.
Yeah, I do.
I think Jackson Dart's their starter.
Well, I mean, dude, like I said in a show the other day, if the spring game wasn't even close, right? The spring game, Spencer Sanders made Jackson Dart look like a middle school peon. But they had a scrimmage the other day, and I guess Jackson Dart went 8 of 10 for 88 yards and 1 pick. And Spencer Sanders went 8 for 14, 8 for 15 for 135 yards. A touchdown and a pick. That's the typical Spencer Sanders experience.
Spencer Sanders is what he is. He's a really good athlete. He does have a pretty strong arm.
Yeah.
He relies on his athletic ability far too much, I think, at times. Which, sometimes he can make a great play like the 2021 Bedlam game. He makes a fantastic play. He scrambles and he tight ropes it down the sideline and scores a touchdown. Spencer Sanders is what he is, man. He's a really good college quarterback, and he's going to win you a lot of ball games, and he's going to lose you a couple too. That's just what Spencer Sanders.
Yes, I think that's very fair. Oh, it's got it's already been announced. Starter. Yeah, no, I know that. But I do think that Spencer Sanders will surpass Jefferson.
I didn't know that it had already been announced.
Yeah, that was just like 2-3 days ago.
I didn't know that. I haven't been keeping up with college football like I probably
academics.
should.
He also got hurt. He missed like 2-3 weeks. I can't remember what it was. What
Due to academics, huh? I'll be damned.
Well, that's the second time. It's only the second time that I've heard somebody mention that. But usually, if there's smoke, there's a little fire. I guarantee you, I can find out.
Is the portal still open? Could he technically get back in the portal and beg to come back to Oklahoma State?
No. Well, he could, but he'd have to sit out a year. So there's no way the NCAA would give him another waiver for that. I highly doubt that one. I followed Sanders pretty closely. I think he's going to graduate. So
basically, what Dustin's saying is he's going to redshirt this year and then grad transfer. He's going to graduate and then grad transfer to Auburn. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how the NCAA rules work on that, so I don't know.
Auburn was what he should have taken the Auburn deal. That's what he should have daggone done. He should have taken the Auburn deal when it was on the table, but Spencer wanted more money. He thought it was.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you let a bunch of 18 to 23, 24-year-old kids have money and all this power and control. They let their emotions get the better of them. Like, I really think that even if Casey Dunn was saying some hurtful shit and in the locker room or whatnot, I think some of those wide receivers maybe let their emotions get the best of them and they decided to leave. I think if they would have just stuck it out and stayed, Casey Dunn has proven. Now, he's not a very good play caller as of yet, but he's proven that he can recruit his ass off and he can coach these wide receivers. He's got many guys, and he's put many guys in the NFL. So for Boog, I don't understand it. I know he wanted to go home, but I don't understand it. He's in a way worse situation as far as having success on the football field than he would have been if he would have just stayed at Oklahoma State. I don't get that.
Oh yeah. No, it's obviously it's ironic. I literally just got off the phone with Boogie's dad, 2.5 hours ago, right?
Sure.
And with Houston's moved him to slot, and he's doing some stuff. I think he's gonna do a lot of stuff. But I was talking to Boogie's dad, and I said, listen, man, I know it is what it is, and I know at the time that y'all left, it was crappy, right? There was a lot going on. There was a lot of uncertainty. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't know what was going on. We knew we weren't in the greatest state of affairs at the moment. And I said, so I understand why you left, but if you would have stayed and you'd have been able to see this turnaround, you would be very, 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 very happy and very excited. So I do think Boogie's going to miss out a lot, 100%.
And Green went to Wisconsin where they throw the ball like 12 times a year. So I don't understand why.
I know, bro. That's why Arlen Bruce came here.
And he don't block for shit. So I don't.
He can. He just don't like.
He don't. Yeah, he don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. John Paul will have success down there at TCU
for sure.
What's the kid's name? The quarterback that TCU this year. What's his name?
Came from OU. Morse.
Yeah. They're going to be in a good situation. They're obviously probably not going to go undefeated in the championship game and go to the college football playoff again. Probably not going to happen. But they're probably an 8, 9, 10 win team. JP will be a big part of their offense. Dom Richardson will be a big part of that Baylor offense down there. I can, I kind of see why he left. I think he was going to get buried in the depth chart here a little bit. I don't see why Boog left. I don't see why Green left. I don't see why Spencer. When all the dust settled, and I said this a long time ago, back when I first started Spaces, when the dust settles and everything is kind of hashed out, I'm going to almost promise you, if you to use a term from Jim Schreiber, you put a truth serum in those guys, and I'll guarantee you they're going to say they made a mistake. I guarantee you Spencer Sanders will say he made a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. It was a miscommunication, man. Like I said, I know why Boogie left. I know why Spencer left. I cannot speak to why I can't speak to why Green left, to be 100% honest with you. Maybe the depth chart was part of it. But you know what? one of the reasons that, some of them left was lack of communication. But you know what? Ollie Gordon decided to stick it out. Alan Shetron decided to stick it out.
I just had
Ollie
a thought
Gordon
pop in my head. I had a thought pop in my head. Do you think maybe they wanted JP to move outside and play X? Was because they knew they were going in this direction of bringing fullbacks and tight ends back, and there wasn't going to be the need for 2 slot receivers on the field at the same time very much anymore?
Dude, that is a phenomenal observation. But if that's the case, why wouldn't you just tell him that, bro? Like, why wouldn't you just call Spencer and be like, hey, dude, we're going heavy? Or even John Paul Richardson. Like, hey, dude, you're going to X, not just because I say so, but because this. And that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Most of these players that left were simply looking for some communication. Just what are we going to do next year? Right.
I think we had a little bit of a clashing of the mind. So you have, on one hand, you have the receivers over here that are this new age information era. Everything's on Twitter and Instagram instantaneously, and they want to know what's going on all the time because that's the way I grew up, and my mom and dad didn't put no restrictions on me, and ain't no coach gonna tell me to sit over in the corner and shut up, right? Yeah. And then you got this old school coaching staff with Mike Gundy and Casey Dunn, and all these guys are like, hey, just shut the F up and sit over there and come to practice on Monday, and we're gonna go through drills. Just show up, and we'll tell you what to do. I just think it was just a perfect storm, and some of those maybe shit was said, and people let their emotions get to them, and people bounced.
It's very possible, dude. We know that. And you know what? Good job, Wet. Well, I mean, I don't agree necessarily talking about some of those guys, but I would say in general, these guys are softer, 100%, absolutely, no doubt about it. And then Mason Cobb and Jabbar are the only transfers from last year that mattered. Who cares? Well, yeah, Mason Cobb he's pretty special. He's going to be
I don't think the
watch.
Offense stunk when we were undefeated going into the TCU game up by 17 points. I don't think the offense stunk then, Andrew. I think Andrew is secretly either a Texas fan or an OU fan.
You know what? I don't know. He has some good points. It's rare. It's rarefied air, but he brings up good points occasionally. And when it comes to Jabbar Muhammad, ladies and gentlemen, you can write it down, mark it down, take it to the bank, go bet somebody money. Our cornerback room is twice as good as last year's. We're not going to notice
Jabbar Muhammad was a good player. Didn't he go to Washington?
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay, and Washington's going to be a pack 12, 8, 4, however many teams are in a pack anymore. They're going to be a contender in that conference this year. But don't kid yourself. Boogie Johnson is going to be very missed. I know that he was young last year, but once we see what he can turn into, even at a place like Houston, we're going to look back and say, damn, we had that guy.
Huh? The other outsiders? No, hell no.
So you think that's what caused JP Richardson to leave? I don't think so.
Talon Shetron and Jaden Bray were not worried whatsoever about JPR taking their jobs.
And the Braylon Presley stuff, he was pissed off because he was promised, he thought he was promised, whatever that meant, that he was going to be able to play some tailback. And the dude's 5'4" and weighs 145 pounds, soaking wet. And Mike Gundy was like, "There ain't no good goddamn way you're gonna play tailback in the Big 12. Like, go catch the ball at the slot." And he got mad and he went to Tulsa. And I'm sure Tulsa will put him back there in the backfield some.
Well, you know what, dude? I love this, man. I can't believe we're keeping this thing going. But let's talk about Tulsa a little bit. Tulsa plays
Steve Spurrier Jr. Let's go, my guy. Steve Spurrier Jr. Let's go.
Well, you know what, dude? They have 7 or 8 former Cowboys. I am excited to watch Tulsa this year. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am. I'm very excited. They've got a bunch of OSU players, man. A bunch of OSU players that actually played a little bit.
And they've what's his name? What was his name? Montgomery, the coach. They got fired last
former
year.
Coach
Philip Montgomery. Yeah.
They
always played really good defense. So they've got some good bones on defense, and I know we took a couple of them. But they're gonna play. They're gonna play hard on defense. Can Spurrier Jr. get these guys, or whoever's gonna call the plays or whatever? Can they get these guys, Kevin Wilson, turned around on offense to go win a few games?
Yep. You're 100% right. You're 100%. We don't have the depth at wide receiver, but we actually have more reliability. Definitely,
sure, but
definitely.
does Stribling have? He only has 1 year of eligibility left, right? This is it.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. Yep, he's on his Tay Martin tour. Which, by the way, Tay's been making some crazy plays lately. I mean, a lot of time it's in camp and stuff. Tulsa is going to be mid this year, but exciting to watch. Yeah, you know what? That's probably
Sure.
Yeah. Well,
Probably like
Carson,
probably like a 4-8 type team that's really fun to watch.
Carson, help me out. Does Stribling really have 2 years left? I didn't know that. I really honestly did not.
Well, that's a plus.
Blah, blah, blah.
Did you hear Gundy talking about? And his first name always escapes me, but the Pioneer Woman's kid.
Drummond.
Yeah,
right?
Drummond.
Yeah.
So he was a quarterback in high school. I don't think that's what we recruited him as, but he was a quarterback in high school.
Well, we didn't recruit him at all.
Well, I know, but I don't think that's why he came to Oklahoma State, was to ever play quarterback. They moved him to tight end, and then now they've moved him to fullback, apparently.
Yeah.
And Mike Gundy was talking about him. Mike Gundy was talking about him coming out to his place over the summer and working. And he's like, all these other guys would bitch and moan and, it's hot and this and that. And he, yes, sir, no, sir, and just get her done. Like,
he needs to put on about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But once he does, they do think that he's actually going to be a beast. He might not be as good as Braden Cassidy. Bro, Braden Cassidy is a true fullback that should have been playing fullback this entire time. He's a bigger, I don't want to say faster. He's a bigger, stronger version of Brian Ward. That's what he is.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, Braden Cassidy's very, and they give him the ball a lot. Like a lot more than I would have ever thought. Like maybe 1 carry a year. No, dude, he's getting multiple carries every practice.
Good.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this team. I'm
sure Mike Gundy lays up late at night a bunch, thinks about that play at the end of the Big 12 championship game that we couldn't just get a push and run it up the middle and get 2 yards and score a damn touchdown.
Greg, that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. This is going to be a Kansas State old school slugfest, control the ball style of team. Like, we're going to go into this season with the objective of Jalen Daniels, Baron Morton, Tyler Shuck, Dylan Gabriel not being on the field very often. Like, that has to be the secret to success. In my opinion, and Jason, feel free to please correct me if you think I'm wrong. If we get in a scenario where we got to have a 65-62 shootout, I don't know that that's a great spot for us.
Probably not. Well, the recipe for success this year is to run the football, throw it over the top, play action, shorten the game, and win the game 24-17, 24-13. Try to, stay under 30 and hold them under 30. I think that's kind of going to be some of those goals on the wall.
Yeah, Greg, between the offensive ability to control the clock and the clock rules, I think defenses are going to be on the field less, which is even more reason to be excited about this year's team because, bro, the mantra, the objective on this defense is just fly and destroy, seek and destroy. That's it.
Do you think this new rule was implemented because the higher powers of the SEC are sick and tired of watching Texas A&M and Alabama play games in the 50s?
You know what? You can't put anything past Greg Sankey. Oh, Jason, I love you, bro. Check this out. You ready for the direction of this one?
What's up?
Speaking of, with this new halftime show and all that fun jazz that we're doing, have you seen that Greg Sankey is moving the SEC Media Days right next door to ours? Did you hear about that?
I did not.
Yep, they're hosting theirs in Dallas, and he already said they're gonna light up the sky like Batman with SEC logos.
So what we need to do? That's even more reason why we need to go get Georgia Tech, and then we need to host ours down in Atlanta every once in a while. Big 12 everywhere, baby.
I dig it, right? Greg Sankey is trying to muscle in on Brett Yormark's territory. Like there's no doubt. He's and if he was a dog, he's hiking his leg and he's marking his territory. That's what he's trying to do. I cannot wait to see this battle. The battle between Brett Yormark and Greg Sankey and Petiti up there in the Big Ten. the battle that those dudes are going to have is going to be amazing, because I do not think that they're prepared for the things that Brett Yormark is able to do and also willing to do. Do you think the SEC is scared of the Big 12?
Not necessarily on the field at the moment, but I do think that they're scared of the Big 12 and the fact that they want that big power too, right? I think that the SEC as in general wants Greg Sankey and some of the higher powers that be want to get to 60-ish type teams, 54, 48, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And if the Big 12 has success, it's going to be harder to do because the networks aren't going to want to just completely do away with that. Say the Big 12 in 2 years goes and gets 4 more teams, gets 20, and every 3 or 4 years they have one team, and it's a different team every time, going to the playoff and making some noise and getting to the semifinals or getting to the championship game and being relevant. That's the worst case scenario for the Big Ten, really, because I don't think that we can ever catch the SEC as far as notoriety goes. And we may not ever pass the Big Ten as far as money goes right now, but I think we can pass the Big Ten in notoriety in a heartbeat because they're so top heavy. If we have Oklahoma State, Utah, Baylor, TCU, if Texas Tech can stay on this trajectory, UCF, I think, will be a monster with all this new money. And then, you just throw in maybe an Arizona or Arizona State gets their shit together. Or Colorado turns their stuff around because of Prime. That's 5 or 6 teams, 7 teams in a 16-team league that could win this sumbitch every year. And then if they could go to the playoff, or even 2 of them go to the playoff and make a little noise and win a game or 2, that's the worst case scenario for the Big Ten, my friend.
Dude, and maybe we're all just living in La La Land, or some of us, but I feel like that's definitely a possibility. I think the Big 12 gets the team in this year with 4, right? With 4 spots. I think we get in again. And from now to 2026, I firmly believe, bro, we're going to get at least 1, probably 2 teams in every year.
Here's a funny scenario for you. Say Kansas State is the Big 12 champion at 2. It has 2 losses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the SEC champion is Washington with 2 losses. Does the Pac-12 champion get in over the Big 12 champion because of a little bit of sentimental value because there will never be another Pac-12 champion in a playoff again?
No, because the TV companies have been backing the Big 12 so hard for the last 5-6 months.
Good point.
I think they'll be like, sorry, this is where the money is. See you later.
Good point. Well, what's weird though, I don't know. What's weird is the Fox and ESPN told the Pac-12 that you were only worth $20 million together, but Oregon and Washington are worth X amount of dollars over here. The 4 corner schools are worth X amount of dollars over here. Oregon State can just suck an egg, like Oregon State, Washington State, and then Cal and Stanford. Like, if there was some legit smoke about them going to the SEC, that means that ESPN is going to allow that to happen. So basically, what they were saying is everybody's worth money except for Oregon State and Washington State.
And does the ACC get Stanford, and Cal and survive? Yes or no?
I think there's 2 answers to that question.
Okay.
Yes, I think they get Cal and Stanford, and no, I do not think they survive. I think that Florida State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, some of these bigger entities in the ACC, I'm serious. I think they're going to try to use this addition to restructure the grant of rights and be able to cut 5, 6, 7 years off that bad boy to where they can renew their deal faster. So then that brings the value of that payout down. So then a Florida State can say, see, guys, we're out of here. Clemson can say, see, guys, we're out of here. I think that they're doing that addition to subtract. They're going to add these 2 teams so they can bulk. I don't know. It could be crazy.
Wow. That, you know what, buddy? That would be a little bit of a wild ride right there, in my personal opinion. Right? That seems, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, right? We've seen crazier stuff, especially recently. But all right, man. Let's see. We got a couple more comments. What do you think, bud? You want to do another 15 minutes?
Let's do 10. Let's read some comments. Let's do 10.
Maybe Captain Obvious, but I think it shuts some people up if it's Big 12. Yeah. Well, you know what, Dustin? I think even playing in them now, we cannot have what happened last year, right? A complete 50 some odd point drubbing. Not a good look.
It's not a good look, but when that happens to Oklahoma, people don't say, see, they don't belong here. They got their ass whipped by USC in the 2004 season, and nobody said, see, Oklahoma doesn't belong in these games. If it was Oklahoma or Texas that happened to, nobody would bat an eye at it.
You know what, Dustin? Within 5 years, I think that's actually that's plausible. I think by then that is very fair. If the Big 12 plays and we bleed orange, right? Of course, but I love the Big 12. You love the Big 12. We want the Big 12 to be successful. So I don't give 13 hoots who it is in the championship, as long as it's not OU and Texas, because that doesn't help the perception moving forward. But
Amen.
If it's O State or K State or even KU, Baylor, I don't care. But as long as it's, we continue to chip down that little bit at a time, and we're eventually going to get that tree down. But it starts with getting there. TCU got there.
Yep.
Right?
Now we need to do it.
OU kept winning the Big 12, and then they couldn't get there. TCU effing got there, right? And we've got a lot of good ball. So let's say this year, K-State makes it, okay? Let's say K-State makes it. And they make it to the national championship, and they lose by 21. I'm still happy. Like, I know that sounds kind of weak-minded, but I understand the landscape, the lay of the land. I know where the Big 12 sits, and I know that it's ridiculous to think that we're just going to jump in and win a national title in the next 2 years. Probably not. But the recruiting for everybody in the Big 12 is going to get better, which is why I think this is a crucial season for us at Oklahoma State, because there's all those dudes that grew up Washington State fans, Oregon State fans, Stanford fans, those kids that grew up in those areas that want to play big boy college football, they're not going to go there anymore as much, correct?
Correct.
So your Colorados, your Oklahoma States, your Texas Techs, these are the schools that are going to be able to take advantage of the kids that are going to lose out with some of the Pac-12 crap that's going on. Yeah,
and man, I think it's a good thing for the league in general if it's not one or two teams. Like, would it be fun for us as Oklahoma State fans, say Oklahoma State and Utah dominated this league for 20 years?
Yeah.
It was us and them, like OU and Tech, when Texas really hasn't done shit in the last decade. But you know what I'm saying? If we were the two bell cows, the two top programs, year in and year out, and when the prognostications come out, doesn't matter who our quarterback is, who's going to win the Big 12? Oklahoma State, obviously. Utah, obviously. I want it to be just like this year. I could make a case for 4 or 5 teams. And I want it to be, 4 or 5 teams could go make a run in the playoff. That is what the parity in this league is, what's going to be the appeasing part and what's going to make people want to tune in and watch.
Bro, Jason, you just hit a daggone cotton picking grand slam. I think that is a phenomenal take, dude. I really do. I don't think I could have even attempted to pretend to say it better. I really, man, I think you nailed it. Connor, thoughts on basketball? I did watch all of the games that we played overseas. They were always a day or two late, but nonetheless, you got a pretty good idea of what we have. When we face big guys with big guys, it's going to be a little bit rough. Isaiah Miranda is a very, very, very talented, very skilled basketball player, but he was going up against 32-year-old grown men that played in the NBA. And they were pushing him around like he was a statue standing still in the wind. Same with Brandon Garrison. Brandon Garrison, 6'10", 280 pounds.
Freshman.
Yeah, and he got pushed around.
Freshman.
So if we play teams, like UConn, right? Last year UConn had a lot of big guys. They had that 7'3" dude that I think was only a sophomore or a freshman. So when we play guys like that, it's going to be difficult, but. We also were able to see Justin McBride play a little bit of the 5. He did okay, right? He's serviceable. So if we need to put Justin McBride at the 5, we can. It's not ideal, but we can make it work. Plus, we had Mike Marsh out. I'm sorry, Mike Marsh is also a big fella, but he's also kind of the Tyreek Smith type of guy. We didn't have him. Javon Small. He proved. I don't know. He will prove, I think, what we've been missing. We've been missing a real facilitator, right, Jason? We haven't had a guy that could dish and drive and find from peripheral vision.
Correct.
We have that now. Javon Small can do all that. Eric Daly Jr., has been playing with grown A men for almost 2 years now on a regular basis. So you can see in the games, and he even did it for Team USA, when he needs to step up and score, he does. But he would prefer, kind of like Marcus Smart, just to, move the ball around, get rebounds, run the show. His stat line is consistent, right? He's not putting up 35 points. He's putting up 13 with 10 rebounds and 4 assists and 2 steals and 6 blocks. You know what I mean?
Sure.
His stat line is phenomenal. John Michael Wright's back. It's going to help with some seniority. Who knows what Bryce Thompson's going to look like? If Bryce Thompson's improved his shot, we could be in for a big year.
His dad passed away?
Who?
John Michael Wright? Yeah, I think his dad passed away.
That was but that was didn't he go during the season back home?
Maybe so.
I know Woody Newton went back home for a little while, and I know we had somebody else that did as well. I could be wrong on the right. We need Marsh to be really good on defense, or we're in trouble. I don't know that he's necessarily the most versatile guy defensively, but he is big.
Here's my thoughts.
He's big enough to bang with anybody.
My thoughts on the basketball program are: hit me up in March and let me know if we're in the tournament or not. Because if we're not, then we just need a clean house. I don't care who does what, how we get there. Boynton, my guy, I love you to death. I think you are a phenomenal coach. But do whatever you can, because in my opinion, you're dead to me if we don't make the tournament this year. I'm just being real, man.
I think, and I know Greg disagrees with me a little bit here. I think that it's not only NCAA tournament, it's you have to win a game or you're out. This is year 7. And I was very, very, very forgiving. Not that I matter. Like, I'm nobody. I get that. But as a fan, like, that bleeds this daggone thing, I really thought that he should get a pass, right? Because of the NCAA and all that fun jazz. And then I thought he should have got a pass on, not last year, but the year prior, because there was a lot of bickering in the locker room. There was a lot of division. It got really cliquey. You know what I mean? So I want to give him a pass for that as well. But the passes are gone, right? The hall pass has been utilized. It's gone. It's over. The expectation needs to be win one game. Win one game in the tournament, and I'm okay with anything else. And I do think we have the talent to do that. My fear with basketball is youth, right? When you're playing a Kansas and a Texas and a Houston that has a lot of
and is the pressure going to start to build on Mike? He's got a young team, a lot of new pieces that are new to Stillwater, and he knows this is kind of a make or break, live or die type season. And if it doesn't start out very well, and he knows that down the stretch, if we need to win 3 or 4 games down the stretch in the Big 12 to make the tournament, or to get a better seed in our tournament to have a shot to make the tournament, is that stress going to start to get to Mike a little bit? Is he going to start to do some things that are out of character for him? A lot of those things are yet to be seen.
Yeah. I missed the first part. What was the best news of fall camp? Well, hey man, make sure you go back and check it out. It's not too shabby. Basically, what it boiled down to was the quarterback position. We all kind of thought that it was pretty squared away. So that was one of Jason's big kind of thought processes behind it. And then Trent was, I don't know, kind of talking about just everything as a whole, right? Let's see. They left because of Coach Dunn. They left because of lack of communication. That's it. That's all it was. If Boynton was there, there'd be so limited adjustments they could have made, but they didn't. The premier defenders, they also lost their 2 best premiers. No, wait. Who was that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we lost Avery, and we also lost.
That is true. That is true. Connor.
We lost Avery and Asbury. That's fair.
It is fair. But it's still year 7, and you have to be. This is Oklahoma State, and we are still. If you look at a lot of people's prognostications or their lists of elite programs, good programs, we're always in that next group right below your blue bloods, right?
Yes.
And we haven't done shit in 10 years, so we have to get back to winning ball games. We have to compete and beat Kansas. We can't consistently keep getting beat by Kansas State. I'm sick and tired of it, and Iowa State. I'm tired of it. We are better than that. Not to say that they're terrible programs, but we're better than that. We are Oklahoma State basketball. We're better than that.
I agree, buddy. Wet Blanket says tourney or bust. Again, guys, I think it needs to be tournament plus a W. All right, y'all. We are gonna do. Well, if you need to go, buddy, you can go. But I'll do 5 more minutes. Craig, it was consistent score. Bryce does need to step it up, man. Bryce, it just, it's so frustrating. Okay.
That's why stars don't matter, in my opinion. Bryce is a very serviceable player, but he was one of the most highly recruited kids to come out of this state in a long, long time.
Ever.
And it just has not equated to it on the court, right?
Yep.
And I'm not saying he's a bad player because he'd go out there and make me look like 3 kinds of fools on the basketball court. But it just has not translated. Some guys, I don't know, like Brock Osweiler, the kid was very highly recruited coming out of the state of Montana. And he had a decent career at Arizona State, and it just never panned out in the pros. Like, you just never know what guys are going to be, and that's why I hate that we put all these labels and stars on these young kids. They've never played a snap at the next level. You don't know what the hell they're going to be. Like, guys like Adrian Peters and stuff, yeah, you can obviously tell those guys are going to go on to do great things. But look how many 5-star guys in football Texas never gets to the league, or how many 5-star guys go and play at Duke. And then in 5 years, you don't even know where the hell – they're probably flipping burgers at the Winn-Dixie or whatnot. You don't even know where they're at. So those stars it's just such a flawed system, in my opinion. I hate it. And I hate it for the kids because now Bryce is supposed to be our savior, right? He transfers back from Kansas. He's this 5-star kid that was so highly recruited. Yep. Well, he's Cade Cunningham, right?
Yep.
He's freaking John Lucas III, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Marcus
he's just
Smart.
not.
Yeah.
He's just not.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked. I can't find it, but I did see somebody asked. Oh damn it! I need to find it. I'll give them their props. Where'd it go? Anyways. Creek said lack of communication is on coach. Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. We agree, Craig. Damn it! I can't remember what. Anyways.
Hang on. You got a mouse in your pocket. Say you agree. No, we agree. Because I'm not putting my name out there in any of that situation.
The question was, in the next 5 years, what Big 12 team wins a national title?
None.
No, I disagree.
Are we talking about football or basketball?
Football.
None.
I'm gonna say we will. I'm definitely gonna say we will. Oh man.
Now, in the next 5 years, I can see two Big 12 teams playing for another national championship, but I don't think we'll get over the hump. Here's the reason. We don't have the big guys up front yet. We don't have the depth up front yet. It's going to take – hang on. And that was what the big difference between Georgia and TCU was, in my opinion. They kept rotating guys in on that defensive line and just wore their ass smooth down on their offensive front. Okay. And then it was a blowout. So until the Big 12 in general continues to – have success on the national level, it's like the chicken and the egg and the cart and the horse, right? Which one comes first?
Yeah.
You got to have some success. You're going to go take your ass whoopings, and then you're going to start getting some of those kids like, do I want to go down here to Texas A&M, go 4-8, or do I want to go to Oklahoma State because they've been to the playoff 3 years in a row? Then you start getting some of those 5-star kids that are 6'4", 295 pounds that can run a 4.6 40 or whatever that play defensive end and that are, look like they can play at the next level. Then you can start competing to win ball games.
I do think that we will win a national title in the next 5 years.
We as a conference or we as Oklahoma State?
No, as a conference.
Okay.
If I were to take a stab at it right here, right now, in the next 4 or 5 years, I would say it's either going to be Kansas State or BYU.
I think there's 4 teams right now that have a legit chance of making it to a national championship. And making it to a national championship and winning one is 2 totally different things.
Yeah. Right.
But I think in the next 4 or 5 years, we have that ability to make it there. Utah will have that ability to make it there. Kansas State will have that ability to make it there. And TCU will have that ability to make it there. Now,
UCF, and within 5 years?
No, TCU.
No, I'm not the comment.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you're golden. I think you nailed it.
They have recruited much better, and maybe
I've been seeing all the 4-star shit they've been getting. I've been seeing it. Dang it, Utah within 5 years. I was gonna say Utah, but I like BYU, and they have a lot to offer recruits now. They really do. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And the way that they do their stuff there, regardless of what your position is religiously or not, those are grown ass men, right?
Do you think Malike will go to BYU
roster,
now?
Huh?
You think Malike will go to BYU now?
No, I think Malake coming here. I'm 99.99999% Malake Smith is a Cowboy, buddy. Yeah, to be honest with you, actually, I had one thought the other day. And that thought was either this is a done deal or I've got people trying to set me up to see
sabotage
if I'm leaking stuff. Yeah.
Sabotage.
Yeah.
They're letting shit leak out to see where it comes out on the other end, huh?
I think it's a small percentage. I believe in what I've been told, but it was, I don't know. It did cross my mind that
yes, Dustin, he does have a national championship win at Auburn. He sure does.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and maybe people are just not saying Oklahoma State because that would be the obvious thing because we're in Oklahoma State, but I just don't agree that TCU is going to be able to out-recruit Oklahoma State by leaps and bounds in the next 10 years. I mean, I know this season hasn't gone the way people want it to, right? We're ranked in what, 54th or whatever we're ranked right now? Whatever it is. That number is going to change by the time this class actually signs. That number will change. And Mike Gundy's going to take another 35, 36 class full of a bunch of 2- and 3-star guys. And if you restart them at the end of their 4 or 5 years, the ones that make it through, they'd probably all be high 3 and low 4-star guys. And some of those guys are going to go to the league, and we're going to win 10 games at some point in time in their career, and everything's going to be honky-dory.
You know what, Wet? And matter of fact, I got to give a shout out to Wet. The last time I was on the Mark Rogers show, he was in there, and he was stirring some shit and having some fun. Yeah, Mark Rogers, he's awesome, but he's very slanted, and that's fine. Like I'm slanted to Oklahoma State quite a daggone bit, but I feel like I'm a realist. I feel like I put in enough to have a decent idea. My money's on UCF to win one in the next 5 years. That's a bold move, Cotton. It's a bold move, Cotton. If Houston can lock down, yeah.
Not likely. You're right. Not likely.
Yeah. Right. Pretty cool.
We got a lot of comments on this one.
What?
We got a lot of comments on this one.
Yeah, bro. This was fun. Well, if you notice,
we got rid of Strut and the show got good, so everybody started commenting.
It's wild, huh? But this is the first time I've ever promoted a show like a few hours before the show.
Right.
It was probably something I should continue to do from now on. I'm learning, man. In the beginning, I was just throwing.
You know what a cool thing to do would be? You need to figure out how to take guest callers on here.
Oh, I know, dude. I actually talked to my boss about it like 3 days ago. I'll holler at you when we'll get off here.
That would be dope if we could take some guest callers instead of just reading the comments.
Yeah.
Take some 100%. Guest callers, let them spit it for a minute or two, give them some rebuttal, and then move on.
Bro, if we get guest callers, not only is this thing going to get fun and wild, it's going to go for like 4 hours. You know that, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay. I mean, as long as Mr. Petty, as long as he calls in, he needs to be our inaugural caller inner guy. Mr. Andrew Petty.
You're going to owe me Andrew Petty, $200, 4.5 yards carry in conference. What? Okay, fine. I said on the season, but whatever. Why in conference specifically? That's kind of random. And 25 yards total rushing for sure. Hold on. Why does it need to be in conference?
Because that's easier on his bet, right? We can achieve those two things if you factor in the weak non-conference schedule.
Oh,
he wants it to be in conference because that's a harder bet for you to achieve. He thinks he's being slick.
Yeah, sorry, Andrew. That wasn't the bet, bud. That's a smooth move, though. I appreciate what you
smooth move, X-Lex.
I think TCU UCF is will out recruit us. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong, but I'll say this, man. I know we're number 56 in the country in recruiting, and this is the last thing I'll say. I don't really care as much because check this out. If we we have land in Cleveland. We've got David Kabongo, right? That's helping. Jonathan Agumidu. I think all three of those guys, plus Gunnar Wilson, I think all four of those gentlemen, their stars their ratings will go up throughout the course of this season. Number one. Number two is if you get Malake Smith, that opens a bigger West Coast door for us to get more dudes that will equal more stars. I think we'll end up in the 30s, and I'm okay with that.
And now having two opponents moving forward after this season in Utah, if you can have success against those two opponents on a year-in, year-out basis, that Polynesian pipeline is just going to start flooding. And that, to me, is where those five-star NFL-type defensive linemen are going to come from for Oklahoma State.
Dude, I talked the other day about Sesi Valeje.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? He is like a flipping clone. Dude, he's 5'11", 200, went to the same school as Jaylen Warren, same high school coach as Jaylen Warren, same personal trainer as Jaylen Warren. Why do you think he came to Oklahoma State? Because Jaylen Warren loves Oklahoma State, and so does their high school football coach. But, dude, when you see clips of that dude, it looks a lot like Jaylen Warren, man.
So then you put that guy into the NFL, and he has success in conference, and you put him into the NFL too. Now you're starting to create a relationship out there. Yeah, now you're starting to say, look what we can do.
Benny Tonga might be – no, not might be. Benny Tonga is the best recruiting coach we've got.
For what he does. I
don't know, man. He's opened this Utah market.
I know, and that's why I say for what he does. I think Casey Dunn, until all this shit happened this last season – we can say he's our best recruiter. He's put a lot of guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's brought a lot of, I wouldn't say high profile wide receivers, but he's turned like these guys like Tylen Smith. He's turned all these guys into NFL caliber receivers.
Correct.
He's a good coach. He's a good recruiter. But for what Benny Tonga does for our program and that demographic, yes, he probably is the best at what he does.
I agree completely. All righty. Well,
we went 2 hours, bro.
All right. It didn't. Why didn't you put your daggone Twitter handle in your name?
Oh, I didn't know I had to. My bad.
It's all right. We got it scrolling. All right, y'all. Make sure that you go follow Jason. And I don't know what happened to Trent. Maybe he lost his internet.
He's up there in Iowa with all the corn farmers and the Amish people. Maybe his internet is just not top notch like it is here in the great state of Oklahoma.
And you know what? Maybe Mama Bear came a calling. I don't know what happened, but make sure you guys go follow Trent. And then Jason, he's so cool. He decided to take a little break from social media.
He did.
And he threw away all of the hundreds of followers he had to restart. So y'all make sure that you go follow Jason. And other than that, buddy, let the fine people out here know what you're up to, how they can find you, and what you got going on.
Only social media I really do is Twitter, and it's at Cowboy Image. I'm trying to get all my followers back. I had almost 500 whenever I decided to take a break. When I get back to that mark, I'll do a giveaway at 500, and then I'll do another one at 1,000. So share everything that we do. We appreciate it. I don't monetarily benefit from any of this. I just love Oklahoma State, and I love chopping it up, Odie, and talking about sports in general. I mean, I'd sit on here for 4 hours and just talk about sports. My family hates it. They're like, oh, my God, he's on another space, or, oh, he's got to do another show.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. But I love it, man.
Yeah, there's just so much good out there. And, we discussed before, my only objective is to try to help in whatever way. And I know yours too. No matter how small or insignificant it is, they're just trying to help get Oklahoma State's, national recognition a little bit better, a little bit higher. And man, this is. I feel like this is how I can contribute. I'm not a donor. I don't have bukus of dollar bills that can make the stadium better. You know what I mean? Like, The only thing I can provide is this. This is what I can do for Oklahoma State right now, and I absolutely love doing it. I love having the access, the ability, the information, and then also the people like Jason, like Trent, like Greg, that all understand and they get it. And OK State Probs does some pretty amazing stuff. There's a lot of guys. Justin Southwell does some cool stuff. Jason Sherman not only does some cool stuff, but if he'll stop taking breaks from social media, I'm telling y'all, Jason's got a very, 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 very good future in this side of the industry. When he's done dominating cranes, he will be able to yell at you guys from a microphone, and you will love it. All right, y'all. I think that's all we're going to have for this one, Jason. Love you, buddy. I appreciate you jumping in here, boss man.
See you, Battle.
All right, y'all. I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. And thank y'all very, very, very much for tuning in today to make this your live listen. Later, taters.